Got dropped into a ghost story, still gotta work. By GM.
Chapter 21. In the desperate situation where the blood-tiered mascots with eyeless stares demanded, "Come on, start killing someone yourself," lies flowed effortlessly from my mouth. A trap, you say? Yes, think about it. I struggled to avoid looking at the crazed mascots on the window while maintaining an expression that said, "I just had a brilliant thought." This darkness bound us as a team, but is it really okay to kill a team member carelessly? Actually, it is okay. This darkness chokes us just for putting distance between teammates, but what if we kill someone? You could just carry around the corpse honestly. But doing something like that, my cowardly heart might not hold up, and I'd end up getting reassigned as the official torture maniac, in the perfect spot to die. I believe there would be a massive penalty. The eyes under the butterfly mask narrowed. Isn't there also a penalty if we don't kill someone? I'm saying we might all be wiped out if we do kill someone. If both possibilities exist, I thought it more rational to choose the option of preserving our numbers. The other person seemed slightly swayed. I swallowed hard and added, "Of course, the final decision is up to you, assistant manager." "Right, if you kill me, you'll die too, You don't want to die either, do you, you crazy bastard? Stop." Thud. I firmly struck the back of the researcher's neck. Knocked him out cold. Why are you so bent on pushing for your own death when the game's already rigged? No wonder he's been gambling at the office with that lack of sense. Apparently, Y-Squad's newbie, face pale as ever, released the researcher's limbs now that the restrictions were lifted. After watching the entire scene, the A-Squad superior finally spoke slowly. I waited anxiously. "You don't regret this decision?" "Saved?" "Yes, of course." The A-Squad superior didn't respond further. It seemed my reputation had taken quite a hit. But that didn't matter right now. What mattered was that we got through this timing safely. Die. The relentless die narration subsided once we stopped attacking each other. Blink. And as the lights on the train flickered, they're gone. The mascots that had surrounded the windows had vanished. Only the bloodstains remained. But that wasn't the only thing missing. Gone. The conductor mascot. The cheerful theme park music. The lively disembarkation announcement. Clang. Manually pushing the train out, we faced an interior strangely devoid of sound and light. It's like we've stepped on a landmine. True. I recalled an entry from Dark Exploration Records. == Cheerful Theme Park User Guide, applicable up to Exploration Record 64. For each zone in the theme park is colored according to its theme. The place where you first open your eyes is the zone your team belongs to. Respect the zone is more important than anything. Look at the colors, don't upset the mascots are everything in the zone. == This rule existed for a reason. If you anger the mascot in a colored zone of the theme park, you're no longer respected as a guest in that zone. You may end up becoming a player in one deadly game of hide-and-seek. But stepping on a landmine is better than hitting the nuke button. The mascot's demands escalate like an escalator ride. Usually, they start by asking for something simple, like eating something, carrying something, or giving them a warm hug. But asking us to commit murder right from the start. Then by the time we get to the next attraction, we'd be better off dead. One example in the records even showed mascots ordering something insane like, "Make a balloon with your own bladder." By that point, the mascot's influence would be too strong to resist. At that point, death might be preferable. In this horror story world, such fates worse than death happen regularly. And even now, there's an escape route. I swallowed hard. Just run. If we escape the Red Rabbit, Magic Bunny's zone, and enter another mascot's zone, this aggro state will dissipate. For that, let's see. Found it. I finally spotted what I'd been looking for, off to the side of the dark exit path. There's something over there. What? This was the reason I wanted to ride this attraction in the first place. The color map of the theme park. Fantasyland color map . After completing this attraction, there's a map near the final exit that shows the zones belonging to each mascot. I quickly approached, muttering to myself, "A map, this might be useful to us." Why is that? At first glance, it looks like mere interior decoration. It visually represents Fantasyland, just as the attraction introduced. But the information it contains is invaluable. Do you remember the theme of this attraction? Well, It was about the mascots fighting over territory in this theme park. Exactly. I nodded. This map should indicate the zones belonging to the other mascots. This way, we could see the shortest route to reach another color zone. Running away from a monster that seems upset with us, taking that with us. The A-Squad assistant manager nodded toward the researcher I was carrying. Before she could suggest killing him, I responded quickly. I'll wake up Research Team 1's assistant manager as soon as we confirm the map so he can walk on his own. HMPH. Please, just don't dismantle him right in front of me. Any hope of a plan brought a glimmer of hope to the Y-Squad newbie's face. I probably looked the same. Please let it be nearby. I took a deep breath and quickly approached the map, confirming it. There's nothing. What? I looked at the map again, but the image remained unchanged. Tilde Fantasyland color map tilde. The entire illustrated view of the park. All in red. Magic Bunny Zone, 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 Magic Bunny Zone. Every sign had Magic Bunny's face engraved on it. Oh, Magic Bunny's Fantasyland. A place to escape to. There's none. Isn't there something wrong here, Solium SSI? There were clearly other mascots before. Seems like they were all driven out. The narration we'd heard during the attraction came to mind automatically. One by one, one by one, one by one, dropping them into pits, drowning them in water, pushing them off cliffs. So then, the yellow and blue ones were killed, and this red mascot took over everything. Then, what about the other employees who drew pieces of different colors? Who knows? The A-Squad assistant manager shrugged. All missing. Does that even matter right now? What matters is. The eyes beneath the butterfly mask turned sinister again. You seem to have made the wrong choice. Don't worry, it doesn't mean you'll die first. Which could only mean one thing. There was someone else who would die first. It's already too late anyway. Reflexively, I glanced at the unconscious researcher slung over my shoulder like a dead weight. B-O-R-I-N-G. Wow, what? B-O-R-I-N-G. The voice echoed in my head. B-O-R-I-N-G. Haven't I heard this somewhere before? Ah, that talk show, that Tuesday talk show. In that revamped version, like the choir of purgatory shrieking like the scream of faded piganimals, the mascot, Magic Bunny, bored to death. Urgh. I clamped my hands over my ears. B-O-R-I-N-G. I looked down. The admission band on my wrist was vibrating. Cheerful Fantasyland admission ticket black square. Cheerful Fantasyland admission ticket black square. The sound was coming from there. N-O-T-F-U-N. Screech. The vibration grew, tearing at the wristband. ===. Cheerful Theme Park User Guide, applicable up to Exploration Record 64. 1. Keep your admission wristband clean. If lost or damaged, you are no longer a guest. If not a guest, you are an intruder, thief, lawbreaker. Horrible punishment awaits, or would you prefer to be an employee? ===. No. I frantically tried to think of a solution. But there was none. Nowhere to escape. There was nowhere to run. If I wanted to preserve my dignity as a human being, it would be better to end things before it was too. Kim Solium SSI. Now I was hearing hallucinations too. Kim Solium SSI, can you hear me? A hallucination, no. I lifted my head. Nothing was visible in the empty space, but a voice as clear as day echoed in my ears, unmistakably real. The owner of that voice is Squad Leader. Yes. Section Chief Lizard, or rather, Squad Leader Lee Jae-hyun. This situation felt like deja vu, though the roles were reversed this time. How did you reach us? I'm using Supervisor Park Min-seong's specialized equipment. B-O-R-I-N-G. The voices overlapped, and the sound of Great Red Magic Bunny grew faint. I barely realized I was on the verge of hyperventilating. No, that wasn't what mattered here. Are you okay, Ro? Are you alive? We're fine, we just completed all 3 attractions. The rest of D-Squad's members were all together. How was that possible? The 3 of you aren't on the same color team, are you? I was certain of it. Only Squad Leader Lee Jae-hyun was on the blue team, while the others were on yellow. Ro, that's not the point right now. It is important. The 3 of you wound up in the same place in the theme park, despite being on different teams. After a short pause, no. Section Chief Lizard's calm voice replied. I found the other two and then moved. Several questions popped up simultaneously in my mind, but the most pressing was this. Where did you find them? On the outskirts of the blue zone. Then are you currently in the blue mascot zone? NOTFUN. Yes. A shiver ran down my spine. The map doesn't show it, but do you happen to know which point is the blue zone? I don't. Damn it. You don't need exact coordinates. Just tell me any nearby attractions or even which direction. Understood. After a short silence. The west. He got cut off. Squad leader. There was no response. It was likely the time limit on the equipment had expired. And more crucially than that, W West. The face of the Y Squad newbie, who had been listening intently beside me, turned blank. A Squad superior looked equally unsettled. The reason was simple. We're already in the west, aren't we? Exactly. The fantasy train was located near the western edge of the Fantasyland map. The opposite of the rugged forest on the eastern side, bordered smoothly by castle walls on the west, was this very attraction. Further westward in Fantasyland than this was nothing. BORING. It seems we might be in separate theme parks, like a timeline where the blue mascot won. The darkness always has these kinds of variations. In separate places. Are we really talking about different parallel dimensions? NOTFUN. No, that can't be. This is a darkness derived from a board game. If we're playing the same game, there's no reason for separate boards. Hey, shut up. The A-Squad superior replied coldly. No matter how much sense you try to make, if it doesn't match reality, just drop it. This isn't speculation, it's deduction. I wanted to convey that there were numerous cases like this, but I knew they wouldn't believe me. Right now, all I needed to do was find the answer. Where exactly is west? Quickly. Think there has to be an answer. I looked at the Fantasyland color map again. Every visible area was still painted red. Ferris wheel, carousel, roller coaster, Viking ride, Magic Palace. Every single ride was marked with Magic Bunny's red face. Every attraction, wait. BORING. Hold on. I looked over the map again. And I realized. I found it. What? A different color zone. It was here. With certainty, I moved forward. Whether they sensed hope or were compelled by my determination, my teammates followed. NOTFUN. We had to move quickly before the mascot noticed us. There was no time to waste. We needed to get out of this attraction immediately. AGNORINGME. Too late. Chapter 22. The four of us bolted out of the exit of the fantasy train and ran. The sounds of desperate panting came from both sides, the kind of breathlessness only achieved when running for your life. It couldn't be helped. The mascots were pouring out. D.I.E. Alia. Hook. From every attraction entrance, store and sign, strange, unsettling bubbles of ooze burst, spewing forth grotesque mascots. They chased after us, mouths peeled back to reveal rows of teeth embedded deep in their innards, giving them a horrifying appearance. Occasionally, their bodies would lurch, and gooey, tentacle-like things would protrude from their drooping ears and arms. The noise was deafening. The theme park music and laughter swirled together, creating a disturbing cacophony all around. It was chaotic, frightening, disorienting, and utterly terrifying. The overwhelming sounds were disorienting, making it hard to think straight. But here, this way. I gritted my teeth, turning in the direction I'd memorized with determination. At that moment, flick, squish, the slimy end of a tentacle just barely grazed my head. Hiss, hook. The hair where the slime touched started to melt, and I caught a whiff of something burning. This is insane. Cold sweat dripped down my back. But my feet didn't stop moving. They couldn't. Stopping would mean the end. I'd die, or worse, I had a gut feeling I'd end up in an even more horrifying state. The only relief was that the destination was close. Even the researcher, instead of whining, was drooling as he ran in desperation. BORING. Get away, ye. Shut your mouth. The butterfly mask shouted. She looked like she wanted to throw the researcher to buy time but couldn't bring herself to do it. It was understandable. They're too close. The mascots swarming toward us were multiplying like crazy, and now, Some of them were getting alarmingly close. And they were fast. Faster than humans. Damn, damn, damn. In the moment that terror gripped me. Urgh. Someone got caught. Ahu. The guy in the cow mask went down. Fuck. Without even looking back, I managed to flip a coin in my pocket to summon the glove. Then I tossed a few 501 coins to create a semi-transparent shadow hand in midair. Whoosh! The shadow hand flew forward and shoved the head of a grotesque mascot. Run! The Y-Squad newbie, who'd barely escaped, staggered up and scrambled to run. Huff-ha thanks. Later. There was no time to stop the bleeding. My special equipment wouldn't be of any help at this point. The shadow hand will disappear once it goes beyond the 3-meter range. A searing pain shot through my left hand. I almost dropped to the ground, clutching my hand and screaming in pain. It felt like my hand was being crushed and dissolved in a spiked press. Specialized equipment. I realized instantly. The shadow hand I'd summoned in midair must have suffered some horrible fate in the mascot's maw or tentacles. In that moment, I discovered the flaw in my specialized equipment. If the hand created by the glove was destroyed, my own hand would feel the exact same pain. But there was no time to scream. I sprinted like mad. There. The target point came into view. A giant gate. Painted in bright colors, following the style of a typical theme park. Fantasyland WSTSIDE gate. A decoration. An ornamental gate attached to the castle wall, encircling the western side of the theme park. It's blocked. Get underneath it. I quickly stepped under the ornamental gate and looked back. Almost immediately, 2 others tried to step in, the A-Squad assistant manager and the Y-Squad newbie. The researcher, being behind, was in a more dangerous spot. Fuck, move already. Thud. The researcher shoved the A-Squad assistant manager aside, using the momentum to propel himself forward. The slender body of the assistant manager, caught off guard, collided with a mascot. Die. The black-red ooze from the partially melted mascot dripped onto her right then. Hiss. The sound of sizzling flesh echoed in my ears. Assistant manager. The A-Squad employee was pinned beneath a grotesquely distorted mascot, her limbs shaking uncontrollably. Her face, partly visible beyond the butterfly mask, was already blistered and ruined. In her eyes was resignation, the look of someone who knew they couldn't be saved. The moment our eyes met. Nail. I shouted. Assistant manager, your nail here. At the same time, I stretched my left hand forward. The A-Squad assistant manager's eyes widened, and she reached out, extending her index finger. Ping. The nail shot out, embedding itself in the center of my palm. But I didn't flinch. It already hurt like hell before. Ignoring the pain, I gripped the nail tightly, pulling her towards me. Whoosh. With a short, abrupt noise, the butterfly-masked body was yanked forward, barely missing the snapping jaws and oozing slime from the mascots. Honheya. Huff and huff. We collapsed under the archway, gasping for breath. Right in front of us, countless rabbit mascots, oozing like they were crying blood, stared blankly with empty eyes, frozen in place as if held back by an invisible barrier. God. It looked as if an invisible wall had stopped them in their tracks. == Cheerful Theme Park User Guide, applicable up to Exploration Record 64. 5. Enjoy the various zones. Has the appearance of the mascot or the attraction color changed? You're in a new zone now. Unfortunately, mascots from other zones can't exist in the new zone. Say goodbye warmly. == I looked down at the ground. The bricks are a different color. As if by magic, 2 white brick lines were under the decorative archway. The mascots couldn't cross from the red brick floor beyond. BORING. I glanced down at my admission ticket. Cheerful Fantasyland admission ticket black square. Cheerful Fantasyland admission ticket black square. Not fun. The voice faded away. The mascots clustered in front of us stood perfectly still, and then in a blink. Vanished. The sound of our gasping breaths filled the now silent air. I swallowed hard. It seems this is the end of Magic Bunny's Fantasyland. We survived. We made it, we escaped. Who? The Y-Squad newbie collapsed to the ground, clutching his shoulder in relief and pain. I leaned my head back against the wall, gazing up at the sky, catching my breath. I thought I was done for. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I'm alive, huh? The A-Squad assistant manager glared icily at the researcher who had pushed her. But then, glancing at the nail-shaped wound in my hand, regained her composure. It seemed she decided there was no need to get worked up over killing the researcher right now. It was impressive how calm she remained, despite the intense pain she must have felt from the acidic liquid splashed over her head. Anyway, yes. The A-Squad assistant manager took a deep breath. Thanks, I owe you my life. I hadn't expected that. It's nothing, you survived thanks to your specialized equipment. There's no point being modest here, just say, got it. You've landed yourself on the right side here. Ah, yes. Unlike some idiot. The researcher desperately avoided her gaze. The A-Squad assistant manager gave him a brief look before returning to business. This place seems like a sort of buffer zone. Was that your plan? But it's too cramped to just stand here. What's the next step? This isn't the destination. After catching my breath, I turned completely to face the decorative gate. Did you know that large theme parks sometimes have more than just the amusement park itself? Something else? Yes. Technically, this area under the archway wasn't in Magic Bunny's territory or any other mascot's. It was a blank zone in the theme park, so they wouldn't come after us for damaging property here. I rapped my knuckles on the wall that was made to look like a door. Thunk. It sounded hollow. Assistant manager, can you use your special equipment to pry this open? The assistant manager silently raised her hand and extended her fingernail again, wedging it into a crack in the wall and yanking it hard. God. Thump thump. One of the brick panels cracked open, and a gust of fresh air flowed in, carrying the scent of water. The sound of refreshing splashes, a boat horn and seagulls filled the air, along with a lively marching tune. Through the crack in the bricks, I glimpsed open space and sunlight streaming down. Enormous, swirling water slides descended into a pool below, shimmering in different shades of blue as water and inner tubes streamed down. Blue Dream Waterland. This place, a water park, the summer zone of this large-scale theme park. It's the Blue Zone. The Y-Squad newbie whipped his head around to look at me, eyes wide with shock. How? When I looked at the Fantasyland color map earlier, there wasn't a single water-themed attraction. So I just guessed that there must be a large water section located separately elsewhere. I took a deep breath, and I also figured it wouldn't be accessible through regular routes. They typically sell separate tickets for water parks, after all. So that's why you pried open the wall. Yes. I recalled my earlier conversation with squad leader Lee Jae-hyun. The West. Of course, the squad leader had probably meant the west side within Waterland itself. But since we were at the far western edge of Magic Bunny's Fantasyland, it allowed me to deduce the existence of a separate blue zone. The east side was blocked by the forest, the north led to the entrance, and the south was a cliff. Really, the only plausible place for more space beyond Magic Bunny's Fantasyland was the west. My guess was right. It seems the blue mascot, exiled from Fantasyland, created a new zone here. For now, let's get through as quickly as possible. Why, yes, let's. Hands busily pried away the remaining bricks. Even the Y-Squad newbie, injured as he was, used his one good hand to help. Meanwhile, the researcher lingered in the corner, looking sly, as if he'd finally noticed things were going in his favor. And within a few moments, it's open. One by one, we began crawling through the now exposed gap. I was the last to emerge, standing on both feet in Waterland, gazing at the blue pools and bright sky above. A breeze heavy with moisture brushed by. This sunlight, it felt so unbelievably good. And as I stood, momentarily feeling a strange sense of liberation, I spotted people waving and running toward us from afar. The members of D-Squad. Are you all right? Assistant manager. The D-Squad members bustled over, each carrying some bulky load, likely inner tubes or other gear. Relief surged through me, perhaps from the familiarity of seeing the people I'd been working with for the past month. How have you all been? I greeted them happily and stepped forward, wondering if I should help take some of the load off the squad leader's shoulder, as any proactive newbie would. Wait, that's a person. It wasn't equipment. Hanging limply off the lizard squad leader's shoulder was a human body. A casualty. Looking closer, I realized the person wore a teal duck mask. It was the A-Squad leader. No. Nuo. Chapter 23. After barely escaping the deranged red mascot zone, we finally made it to the blue zone. That's where D-Squad was waiting for us, with A-Squad's leader hanging limply over Section Chief Lee's shoulder. I managed to ask. Section chief, is that a corpse on your shoulder? Oh, she's just unconscious. He was moving her somewhere safe. Just as I started to feel relieved, and the sense of familiarity returned, D-Squad's assistant manager pointed her thumb at a large inner tube they'd been dragging with the supervisor. The corpse is over there. Seeing them haul a body shoved into a tube really added a new level of horror. We wrapped it up well, but some parts were broken off. Please spare me the details. No, seriously, it was horrific. Supervisor Park shuddered. Ro, you better be careful. The mascots here act like some kind of righteous enforcers, Assistant Manager Yoon quipped. Here's how it was explained. The mascots in this zone absolutely despise violence between team members. So, in typical A-Squad fashion, the assistant manager with the praying mantis mask decided to run a little experiment. While riding the first attraction, he kept forcing the Y-Squad employees into dangerous positions for laughs, telling them to unbuckle their seat belts, stand up, sing along, or even do a handstand on the track. 3 Y-Squad members died that way. The last one begged for mercy through tears, but he didn't even blink. It was revolting. It seemed that feeling was shared by more than just the survivors. Assistant Manager Yoon scowled. When we got off the ride, the mascot was waiting for him, just standing there and calling him a naughty child. And then, she spared me the details, thank heavens. I thought I was going to vomit. Well, I mean, honestly, he had it coming. Even if the chief disagreed with those methods, Supervisor Park said, glancing over at the limp body of A-Squad's leader on the section chief's shoulder. By the way, why exactly did she pass out? I asked, still a bit puzzled. Well, our squad leader here, Wait a minute. No way. See, she pushed us a bit hard, trying to save her subordinate somehow, and it got a little excessive, so. The chief just knocked her out. Hey, we're all going to agree she passed out from high blood pressure, so keep your mouth shut, Ro. Yes, I'll take it to the grave. Oh, and if you're wondering why Y-Squad got treated that way, I already heard from that person over there. I discreetly nodded toward the assistant manager in the butterfly mask. Seeing that I already knew, Supervisor Park seemed a bit more at ease, as if glad to skip such a dark topic. Anyway, how are your team members doing? I quickly checked on the cow mask with the injured shoulder, and the butterfly mask with the blistered face. Some of them need first aid. Could we get some help? Yes. Suddenly, Section Chief Lee unceremoniously dropped the unconscious A-Squad leader from his shoulder onto the ground. Then, he started shaking her shoulder. W.A. Chief. Oh, yeah? Okay. After shaking a squad's leader awake, the Section Chief said with a calm face. Section Chief CO, there are employees here in need of treatment. What? Looking dazed at first, the A-Squad's leader pointed a shaky finger at Section Chief Lee as realization hit her. You. Yes. How could you do that to Assistant Manager Lee, the one with the praying mantis mask? He's deceased. And while he was dying, what were you doing? We waited until he passed, then retrieved the body and moved on to the next attraction. Oh, dear Lord. A-Squad's leader was at a loss for words, her expression one of disbelief, before finally managing to stammer out a response. Why, you watched A-Squad die? Are you insane, Lee Jae-hyun? How are you going to take responsibility for this loss? I'm D-Squad's leader. A-Squad is not my responsibility. With a slight squint, the section chief looked at her, almost perplexed. The responsibility for the loss of A-Squad Assistant Manager Lee Seok-jung rests with you, A-Squad's leader. Witnessing someone say something like that to a superior in a work setting was something else. Even if they hold the same title, an elite squad leader should technically outrank him. A chill went down my spine in an entirely new way. A-Squad's leader glared at Section Chief Lee, her eyes bloodshot. You fainted, yet we still completed the 3 attractions together to meet the clearance conditions. Now, take responsibility and treat your... Chief, the butterfly-masked assistant manager interrupted, not in an attempt to dissuade Section Chief Lee, but rather addressing the A-Squad's leader, who was on the verge of a mental breakdown. Perhaps it would be better to continue this conversation outside. Let's complete the clearance before anything else comes up. Plus, you still have that deranged researcher from Research Team 1 to deal with. Yes, of course. The eyes under the teal duck mask blinked, then gradually calmed down. It seemed she'd found a new focus for her anger. But she still left one last comment hanging in the air. Squad Leader Jae-hyun, shall we take this outside? Yes. Supervisor Park leaned in and whispered to me. Don't worry, apparently our squad leader hears lines like that as an annual event. Is that, really okay? Well, one thing's certain. I'm definitely not at the level to get involved here. Better to keep my mouth shut and keep my head down. In any case, the A-Squad's leader used her special equipment to heal the butterfly-masked assistant manager. The sight of the skin on her jaw and head area regenerating, almost like it was rewinding, was amazing. Employees with equipment like that are almost non-existent, so envious. Same here, I wondered if there was any way to acquire something similar. Having equipment like that would definitely improve survival rates. I watched A-Squad's leader's specialized equipment, a healing ring, very closely. Healing's After ensuring the butterfly-masked employee was fully healed, A-Squad's leader was about to walk right past the Y-Squad member with the shoulder injuries, barely sparing a glance. Could you possibly heal this one too? We need to stay together and his mobility might be an issue. Surprisingly, the A-Squad assistant manager subtly nudged the squad leader to heal both me and the Y-Squad rookie. Thanks to that, the Y-Squad rookie, whose shoulder was now miraculously healed, blinked beneath his cow mask. Thank you. The assistant manager nodded slightly. Does she really only consider efficiency? Once she'd understood the mechanics of this ghost story and secured an escape plan, she immediately switched to decisions that minimized risks. A logical approach, maybe that's what makes her elite here. I made a mental note to remember A-Squad's equipment and specialties, and maybe to try and forget about the bodies stuffed into that tube. Right then, let's ride the 2 remaining attractions and head out quickly. Oh, thank you. As soon as the healing was complete, the red team moved toward the attractions to fill the empty spots on our admission wristbands. The others followed, not exiting just yet. It'll only take about 30 minutes, don't worry, they reassured us, likely staying close to keep an eye on the situation and help out us rookies. Although grateful, part of me thought it would be less terrifying if they just left, considering that tube full of corpses following us. As I mentioned before, the mascots here are surprisingly moral for monsters. That much I'd guessed from our earlier communication. If they cleared 3 attractions so quickly, there must be a reason. This team must have been lucky enough to encounter a benevolent zone where the mascots' demands were reasonable. They'd beaten some crazy odds for sure. They even answered questions about what was in each attraction, and since we were the first to clear 3, they gave us a souvenir. How nice for them, taking it easy. Meanwhile, we've been scrambling for survival in that insane magic bunny zone. Strangely enough, while the red team had lower odds for survival, we managed to keep everyone alive up to this point. Soon we reached the entrance of an attraction adorned with a blue dragon head drawn to exaggerate its cuteness, its body wearing a life jacket. Hello? The mascot stationed there waved a greeting sign. I bowed slightly in response, and the mascot returned the gesture. We boarded a flume ride called Blue Mountain. It was a typical water attraction where we sat on a boat and enjoyed the stream. The other 2 field team members boarded without issue. Only the last person had a problem. Fuck it. The researcher sneered, cursing at the mascot. It seemed like he couldn't help but let out his disgust and fear after dealing with Magic Bunny and facing a slightly less terrifying mascot. These disgusting little fuckers. Hurry up and get on. Yeah. He stole a glance at the mascot before boarding the attraction. The blue dragon mascot's button eyes watched silently. With everyone on board, we finished the remaining attractions smoothly. Cheerful Fantasyland admission ticket black. Finally, At last, we'd filled every slot on the wristband. The exit is to the north, let's move. Yes. Soaked from the water but not caring at all, we were finally on our way out of this cursed theme park. I won't be going anywhere near an amusement park for a long time. Have a safe journey back. The farewell sign above the northern exit gate sparkled with the words. Next to it, a blue mascot stood, dressed formally. Looks like we just need to scan your completed wristbands here to exit. The blue mascot gestured politely toward the gate scanner. All right, squad leaders, you first. Off you go. D-Squad's assistant manager made the smart move to organize the situation and get the superiors out first. People began to exit one by one, and as it came time for the assistants and other staff to leave. All right then, Assistant Manager Jin, after you. M moved. The researcher pushed past everyone, sprinting to the gate. Seriously? Though Supervisor Park and Assistant Manager Yoon looked momentarily taken aback, they quickly let it slide, likely thinking, civilians, right? A few seconds' delay was no big deal. Oblivious to their expressions, the researcher rushed to the gate to scan his admission wristband. It's like he's made a habit of it. Honestly, I found myself frowning. Baek. Huh? The researcher turned his head. A blue dragon mascot held his wristband with one claw, crumpling it. You. Snap. Reabdchild. Reap. Rentyu. The band broke. Snap. He stared blankly at the torn wristband pieces on the floor, seeming not to comprehend. Then, the blue dragon's mouth opened wide. Save me, save me. It began to pull him in. Beside me, Cow Mask muttered feverishly. Othisiga Strathas awakened, the wicked air being swallowed bethed. The rookie and I averted our eyes. So this is how it ends. In moving to another zone, the previous zone's aggro mascot stops pursuing you. But the consequences of one's actions follow. Cheerful Theme Park User Guide, applicable up to Exploration Record 64. 6. Remember, the theme park is a shared space. Please follow proper etiquette and manners when using public facilities. Countless eyes are watching you, and no one forgets anything. Hey, there's a mascot right behind you. All mascots in the Cheerful Theme Park know what you've done. That includes everything the researcher did. Fuck, move already. Pushing A-Squad's assistant manager into the line of attack to escape the red mascot earlier. Maybe they were willing to overlook it, considering the extreme situation. The problem was, he did the same thing twice. It's karma. The researcher's screams turned into wails. That bastard tried to kill me too. Why just me, you trash, you. That's right. But A-Squad's assistant manager never went through with it. She listened to reason. But you didn't. Even I, as someone who's practically a member of the Cowards Club, thought he had this coming. Save me, Ara. The researcher's voice stretched like taffy, leaving behind a chilling sense of dread. My cowardly heart reacted instinctively, making me flinch, but... Don't. A-Squad's employee grabbed my arm, holding it down. You can't save him. Not that I'd even considered trying. So I remained quiet. Soon the screams faded and the unsettling atmosphere around us dissipated. When I looked up, the blue dragon mascot stood there, as polite and composed as before. You'd never believe it had just killed someone. Somehow, that made it all the more disturbing. The standards are stricter than I thought. As expected from a ghost story setting, this mascot seemed to have its own code, beyond just refusing to harm teammates. I'll tread carefully from here on out. Let's try exiting again. Yes. One by one, the remaining people filed out. Let's take a look outside. I gave up and let the superiors go first. After seeing my fellow coward through the gate, I stood by the exit next to the blue dragon mascot. The dragon, cutely stylized with round eyes, looked directly at me. Could you, not stare? This is terrifying enough. It's nerve-wracking being the last one here, and I'm trying my best to keep my nerves in check. Then, Goodchild. Was it trying to reassure me? Unlike before, the mascot's voice didn't sound eerie. Maybe they're willing to overlook the damaged property. Thank goodness. Thank you. I nodded and tried to walk past, but the mascot moved to block my path. Goodkidsgt. A GIFT. The blue dragon reached out, gently touching my wristband. Cheerful Fantasyland admission ticket black. The wristband warmed slightly, and as the mascot released it. Cheerful Fantasyland membership. The text had changed. LETSPLOY. FOREVER. Me. Chapter 24. I broke out in a cold sweat as I stared at the wristband. Cheerful Fantasyland membership. But the words that had changed from admission ticket to membership didn't revert, and the material that had become oddly luxurious and ornate remained the same. Okay. It's an unexpected situation, but what I have to do hasn't changed. Scan the wristband at the gate and leave. Membership or whatever, I just won't come back. Thank you. I swallowed hard. I'd like to go home now. The blue mascot tilted its head slightly to the side. I stepped toward the gate scanner to scan my wristband. But the mascot blocked my way. Please. Why are you doing this? I felt like crying. I'm not as much of a good kid as you think. Goodkid. CORRECT. The blue mascot's claw gently, ever so softly covered my wristband. And a voice resonated. To one who knows honor. You are worthy. Urg. A cough burst from my mouth. It was blood. What just happened? Could it be because the ticket changed to a membership? The Blue Dragon mascot seemed flustered as I spat out blood, fidgeting anxiously, and then pulled something out from its pocket and offered it to me. Blue soda churros. It seemed to be a snack sold inside the theme park. Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely not eating that. But I'd like to take it home and eat it. Plymord. The mascot was insistent, to the point that it turned off the gate machine. Click. The lights went out at the north exit, and the shutter came down. I stared blankly at the scene. Going this far, I couldn't grasp what was happening at all. But I didn't make the foolish move of arguing. I might end up like the researcher. I definitely wanted to avoid that. For now, I'm not in immediate mortal danger here. Let's find an alternative. I stepped back from the gate. As I ran off, the blue mascot kept watching me, driving me crazy. I went into the water park's locker room and collapsed onto a bench. I'm scared to death. What is going on? To sum up, the mascot suddenly called me a good kid, handed me a membership, and closed the gate shutter. In other words, I'm trapped here. Trapped? Wait, but what's with this good kid thing anyway? The researcher was a bad kid, and I'm a good kid. Is it because I saved my teammates a few times? Yeah, that's the most plausible reason. By chance, I did help people in dangerous situations a few times, so as a reward, they're letting me play in the theme park forever. This is driving me nuts. This is inside a B-class creepypasta. No matter how friendly and seemingly safe that mascot appears, it means I don't know when or where some dangerous and bizarre, crazy thing might happen. Besides, there's no exploration record of anyone staying more than 24 hours. Once it goes over 24 hours, it means everyone dies or disappears. Even if I interpret it optimistically and think that since the admission ticket is a one-day pass, and I'm a member now so I might be okay, the most crucial thing here is that I have no information. Shit. I racked my brain, feeling like I wanted to bite my tongue. Maybe due to the fatigue of the past few hours, my thinking was sluggish. What can I do? I can't win against the mascot in a fight. I can't sneak in and turn on the gate machine. And I used up all my coins earlier. In a hurry, seeing Y-Squad rookie Jang Hee-won fall, I threw whatever I could grab, which was a blunder. I pressed my fingers against my eyelids. I don't have a button to communicate with the people outside, so I can't expect help from D-Squad. The items I have are the smiley sticker. It's not something to use when the problem is that their favorability is already too high. It's the same with the 2x potion or 0.5x cookie. They only have meaning if there's an effect to synergize with. Do I really have nothing? The more I worried, the deeper I seemed to sink. As I was sinking into gloom, a light flickered above my head. Dark Exploration Records Real Merch Box. New merch unlocked. It's the black notepad, the merch box. Please. Without even taking a breath, I pressed it immediately. Is this a lifeline? No, anything would do. I needed even the smallest hint, anything. Thud. Merch dropped out. I picked up the item wrapped transparently in plastic. It was small enough to fit in my palm and fluffy. A plush doll. Dark Exploration Records / Daydream Inc. / black. Good friend. It's your cute animal doll. It will always be with you and protect you. Always. Product description on the packaging. From the cheerful theme park gift shop. I recalled the phrase on the board game box. Be the first team to ride all 3 fantasy attractions with your teammates and win spectacular prizes. In the cheerful theme park, the team that rode all 3 attractions the fastest could take one of various items from the gift shop as a prize. Come to think of it, the supervisor park mentioned earlier that they received a prize. And of course, the theme park gift shop in the ghost story often had bizarre items mixed in. There was even an exploration record that sorted the list of prizes people had taken. And this was one of the most famous items among them. Good friend. In the original story, it was a plush doll small enough to fit into a child's arms, but as merch, it was reborn as a small keychain-sized doll that fit into my hand. So the unlock requirement for this merch was to be a participant in the cheerful theme park. Unless you were someone who had visited the theme park, it was just a plush doll with no function, but since I had used up all my admission tickets, it seems I unlocked the requirement. And the ability of this plush doll is Strange item that invites someone from the other world, allowing a part of their spirit to dwell in the doll and become your friend. It rarely appears in the gift shop of the cheerful theme park. For detailed invitation records, refer below. This is it. Under normal circumstances, I would have thought it through carefully and set up safety measures before attempting. Inviting someone from the other world, it's the perfect description for the start of a creepypasta. But I don't have the time or leisure for that now. Let's try it. Because I desperately need the advice of someone who understands the workings of creepypastas. I took out my smartphone, equipped with the memorial grip, and opened the Good Friend tab in the Dark Exploration Records app. The required items are as follows. Materials for the invitation. Matches or a lighter. 100 ml of water. 1 tablespoon of salt. A coin clean. An item related to a friend. And a quiet place. This locker room is perfect. Outside is noisy with water sounds and music, so this is the best place. I can somehow get a lighter, water, and salt inside this theme park, whether by stealing or requesting from a shop. The problem is the next 2 items. A coin clean. An item related to a friend. I have no coins left, I used them all. And the item related to a friend, actually, it's included to enhance the fun of the creepypasta. If you put in a fairy tale book, a monster from that story motif would come. What should I do to make it as safe as possible? No, I was reluctant to offer something from this theme park as an item related to a friend. Isn't this place itself already a creepypasta? In the end, after much deliberation, I settled on 2 items, hoping that this substitution would work. And after a while, I placed the torch and the salt I had obtained on the floor in the corner of the locker room. So creepy. I got them all from a snack truck. I saw they were selling a menu item called roasted marshmallows, so I thought maybe and they had both. They gave them to me for free when they saw my membership. Rather than making me happy, it felt even more ominous. I wiped my mouth and reopened my smartphone. I had to start quickly. Invitation ritual. 1 on a smooth floor. Dip your finger in water and draw a hexagram using the enclosed design. 2. Place the good friend in the exact center of the hexagram. 3. Place the coin on the belly of the good friend. At this time, your fingers should not have any remaining water. 4. Hold a tablespoon of salt in your mouth and burn the item related to a friend using fire. 5. When the good friend starts to speak, swallow the salt and return the greeting kindly. If the coin has disappeared, the ritual was successful. You have met a reliable friend. Always keep them close and cherish them. If you cannot swallow the salt, tastes strange. Turns to ash or if blood comes out. Run away. Who? First, I drew a hexagram on the marble floor of the locker room, exactly like the image. It was a bit complex, but not too difficult. It's shining strangely. However, the completed hexagram was excessively smooth, its surface gleaming without any smudges. After thoroughly wiping the moisture off my fingers on the hem of my clothes, I picked up the good friend keychain with trembling hands and placed it in the exact center of the hexagram. Of all things, it's a rabbit doll. I felt uneasy, but remembering that I bought it thinking it was cute at the pop-up store made me feel a bit better. And for the coin, this one, I placed the item I had, the silver serpent coin, on top of it. This is technically a coin, right? I thought that rather than obtaining one from this ghost story, it might be safer to use an item from the alien shop from the plane of reality. Considering its price, it seemed to be a fairly valuable item, so I was convincing myself that it might even have a better effect. Then, after putting the salt in my mouth, finally, an item related to a friend. This also had to be something that didn't belong to this ghost story. That is myself. I loosened my necktie. If it's my own item, it certainly doesn't belong here. A friend related to a necktie. I don't know who it might be, but it's better than something like a kitchen knife. I lit the torch and brought it to the end of the necktie. Whoosh! Like magic, the flame flared up fiercely, casting a shadow over the plush doll on the hexagram. The shadow wavered. It wavered more and more. Before I knew it, the surroundings had grown dark. All I could see was the flame consuming my necktie, the hexagram reflecting that light, and the plush doll at its center. Flicker, flicker. My hazy mind didn't melt away. Instead, the salt in my mouth melted with its salty taste, numbing my tongue. Amidst that, flicker, flicker, The mouth of the good friend, hugging the coin, opened. Behold, I am the owner of 1,000,000 masks, the lord of chaos, the pinnacle of madness, the dream of pleasure and play, the instigator of war, the father of science, the low-lying quadruped beast. It's too loud. It feels like my head is being shaken violently. I want to cover my ears, but I have no free hands. I'm holding the necktie and the torch. What is this? The desire of the crawling ONES, the lord of STARS, the abyss of illusion, the mouth of wisdom, the roar of impulse, the dark side of the moon. The plush doll in the center of the hexagram is convulsing. In the middle, a silvery round object is burning away. The silver serpent coin. Did I use the wrong coin? I am. My head hurts so much, so much. Friend. Are you in pain, friend? I lifted my head. This won't do. A gentle and soft voice flowed through the good friend. You must not be in pain. The flickering subsided. As the necktie burned away, the fire extinguished. The coin that had been on top of the convulsing rabbit doll had disappeared at some point. So had the moisture used to draw the hexagram. Silence. I swallowed the salt, looking at the good friend lying motionless. But no sound could be heard. Don't tell me. Did it fail? Mr. Roe, dear. A cheerful and pleasant voice echoed. But, Mr. Roe, dear. It's a familiar voice. Before I knew it, I responded. Mr. Host. Ah, so it is you, Mr. Roe, dear. Tuesday quiz show. The voice of the TV-headed host, who conducted the live broadcast in that ghost story, was coming from the doll. Nice to meet you, my friend. Chapter 25. In a corner of the locker room within the theme park's creepypasta, a small plush doll moved its limbs and spoke. At first glance, it would be a life-threatening situation. Except that I created this situation. Friend. The plush doll convulsed atop the now-vanished hexagram. It was then that I realized that I had succeeded in inviting the good friend into the doll. The problem was that the one invited was someone I knew, a known monster. Mr. Host, a monster with a TV head, who was conducting the Tuesday quiz show in the creepypasta. I hope you join the crew of my new talk show as well, Mr. Roe, dear. I swallowed hard, recalling the last scene of escaping from that crazy creepypasta. Nice to meet you, Mr. Host. Have you been well? Haha, nice to meet you too. I remember you shining in the quiz show, Mr. Roe, dear. Have you been well? Silence. Well, I don't really remember. Right, I've been well. I've been conducting the talk show, yes. The voice coming from the plush doll faded somewhat, then regained strength and friendliness. The important thing is that we have met again. Yes. It felt as though the overwhelming supernatural pressure and fear were being pressed down softly before erupting. Because it's a good friend. It seems that the plush doll and the ritual are playing some sort of controlling role. Still, I have to be careful. Mr. Host, I have a question. Feel free to speak, friend. Oh, by the way, that kind of title between friends is a bit awkward. Just call me Braun, Mr. Roe, dear. Let's drop the stiff formalities. Right, yes, Braun. Yeah, even a TV-headed monster living in a creepypasta has a name. Anyway, the main point was urgent now. I spoke as politely as possible. Actually, I'm trying to leave the theme park now, but I can't find the way out. Goodness, theme parks are famous for their complicated structures and confusing paths. Don't worry, I'm very good at finding my way. I'm not lost, but the mascots are blocking the exit gate. The plush doll was silent for a moment, as if speechless. It's a unique situation, isn't it? A pretty human-like reaction. I briefly summarized the structure of this theme park and what had happened, including the teams and zones divided by color and the out-of-control mascots. The plush doll lying on the floor folded its arms. These mascots are really diva-like. Such conspicuously rambunctious beings exist in the broadcasting industry too. But one that hasn't appeared is bothering me. A mascot that hasn't appeared. I reflexively thought, are you talking about the yellow mascot? The last mascot, only mentioned in attractions with no trace. Exactly the yellow flower, isn't it? Do you know where he is? Right. Since I found the blue mascot zone, the yellow mascot zone must be somewhere. If I find that place and go to that gate. He must already be dead, though. Pardon? The yellow mascot. Isn't there a space like a botanical garden or greenhouse garden, because it's a flower? Oh, Mr. Roe, dear, you probably already know. The kind voice whispered. Didn't you say it clearly yourself? You said the yellow team also woke up on the outskirts of the blue zone. If there was a yellow zone, the yellow team would have woken up there. Wasn't that the promise? That's right. The rule is that you wake up in the zone of the color you get, but the yellow team didn't. Because maybe there really is no yellow zone. I mulled it over, and after a moment, I opened my mouth. I realized what I need to do. I need to check. Oh, what is it, together? The plush doll struggled as if trying to get up, but couldn't balance and fell flat. Mr. Roe dear, could you help me get up? I cautiously approached and gently lifted the good friend keychain with one hand. It felt a warmth like body heat. It's hard to maintain your balance. It might take a little time to adjust, but don't worry. I'm a very capable being. How dignified. After pondering, I put the plush doll into the front pocket of my suit. The plush doll exaggeratedly raised one hand. All right, let's go, but where are we going? It's a place that can guide the way. A place that's definitely in a large public facility, one of those essential spots. It's the information booth. Of course, there were exploration records noting that the cheerful theme park also had information booths. Most typical amusement parks are fully equipped with them. The problem is that they weren't functioning properly. They did inform us of the locations of some nearby attractions. But when the requests were a bit complicated or required physical items, this happened. The information mascot raised a members-only sign. It means that having just an admission ticket isn't enough. Although they treated us as customers, it was meant to create a spooky atmosphere by implying that this place wasn't originally meant for us. Fortunately, I have a membership band on my wrist. In fact, as soon as the admission ticket was changed to a membership, I recalled several exploration records related to members only. Special souvenir shops, restaurants, and separate attraction entrances that allow entry without waiting in line. But there was a clear reason why I tried to avoid them as much as possible. Because I have to interact with the mascots. Because if I interacted with the crazy mascot who closed the gate without any information, I could trigger some horrific outcome. Just thinking about it makes me dizzy. But now that I had a monster friend who would act as a crisis alarm, I decided to give it a try. Braun, if the person I'm talking to seems upset or might harm me, could you let me know? Of course, it's not a difficult task. The plush doll cheerfully replied, then quickly came up with a few hand signals we could use. It was indeed a quick response befitting someone in mass media. And after a short while, over there, oh, it looks pretty convincing. I approached the information booth, hearing the good friend talking. The booth was made of opaque blue glass and a white screen. As I got closer, the screen opened, revealing the face of a blue mascot. It was the blue dragon in uniform. Hello, I'd like to see a map of this place. The blue mascot, waving its hand as if pleased, quickly moved its hand and handed me a high-quality catalog. It was a convenient map showing various attractions, restaurants, and facilities of Blue Dream Water Park. At the top of the catalog, it was marked Members Only. I looked up at the blue mascot. Thank you. There was a somewhat proud expression. By the way, is there one that shows the entire area as well? Clunk. The movement of the blue mascot stopped. Don't be scared. I'm sure you know, but I came over here from the red zone without any procedures. I want to avoid going closer there again to prevent any mistakes. I asked in the calmest and most polite voice possible. What exactly is the boundary between the red zone and this area? A short silence. The mascot reached out its hand. From here to here. Reep. The catalog map I was holding was torn by the blue mascot's claw. Along the eastern end, it tore down. As expected, the eastern part of the blue zone and the western part of the red zone were directly connected. But it's so scary. My hands holding the torn catalog were shaking as if vibrating. Please save me. Isn't it going to split me in half with its claws and kill me? At the moment the mascot lifted its claws off the map, I hurriedly nodded and expressed my gratitude. Then on to the next topic. Thank you if that's the case. Thud thud. SHH. From the front pocket, the plush doll tapped its chest twice softly. This is what it means. It seems the other party is not in a good mood. So this is it. I immediately shifted my demeanor and only greeted politely. Yes, I won't go near the red zone. The blue dragon stayed still for a moment, then nodded its head. Then rummaging through its chest, it took out another polite, blue soda churros bag and handed it to me. Thank you. Goodchild. The blue dragon tapped my wristband gently and then let go of its arm. Drip. Eventually, the screen of the information booth closed smoothly. Who? It was done. I bowed my head, clutching my pounding heart. I felt like I was going to die of fear. You're smiling, my friend. Are you feeling good? Did you find what you wanted? I figured it out. Yes. I lifted my head and started running. Now I just need to move. If I had asked the mascot more questions, I might have saved some time, but safety comes first, so from now on, I would use the most reliable means. My own feet. Let's hurry. There were only a few hours left. I looked up at the sky of the theme park, which was starting to darken. A few hours later, the sun had set. Hoof. I kept running. My legs were trembling from sprinting thoroughly around the gigantic water theme park, covering half a lap. Mr. Roe dear, you seem terribly exhausted. I'm fine, the plush doll asked with a pitiful tone. It seems like the time has come to ask this question. Exactly where are you trying to go? I wiped the sweat dripping from my chin and replied. The yellow zone. Two. We both seem to agree with the statement, there is no yellow zone. But why did you change your judgment? It's not that I changed my mind. I still believe there is no yellow zone. But there must have been one in the past. I lowered the map and looked ahead. First of all, at that time, it probably wasn't directly adjacent to the red zone. The east was a forest, to the north was the entrance, to the south was a cliff, and to the west was the blue zone. The terrain fits perfectly without any gaps. Then, it must have been connected to some part of the blue zone. There must have been a connecting passage. Excluding the north, which was also an entrance, and the east, which was adjacent to the red zone. What remains is... So you're thoroughly searching the west and south, haha. That's correct. Unlike the red zone, there were no mascots chasing me to kill me here, so I could use this laborious method. And finally, I found it in a corner of the northwest, behind the restroom's flower bed. A rough dirt path leading up the mountain, like a closed hiking trail. It must have been opened as a passage before. The problem is, crossing this almost certainly violates the theme park's rules. No entry except for staff. After checking that sign, I slightly stepped out from behind the restroom and looked around. I made eye contact with a mascot standing in front of a children's attraction far away. Are you bothered by that mascot? Yes, if I cross into the no-entry zone, I'm sure they'll notice. Then just don't get caught. But that's not as easy as it sounds. Oh, cheer up, it's not difficult. Isn't it me, your friend? The voice of the good friend became somewhat crafty. Its unique confidence, slyness, and friendliness came to the forefront. I will help you. First, it would be good to take me out of your front pocket for a moment. I did as it said. Then the plush doll sitting on my palm raised its hand and pointed at me. I flinched instantly, remembering how it burned people during the Tuesday quiz show. But this time was different. Todak. Small thudding sound echoed as the doll without fingers snapped its hand. At that moment, a strange shadow-like thing heavily covered me. I was now faint and sinking. Now they won't be able to notice you. Come on, let's go. The voice of Braun, the good friend, sounded slightly weary and faint. This is... I turned off your lighting, Mr. Roe dear. We promised not to worry about people who aren't illuminated during the show, didn't we? Apparently, incineration wasn't the only ability of the host. Was he managing the entire filming location by himself? I felt an eerie chill and looked down at the plush doll, but soon realized that wasn't my priority. First escape. Then I'll move. Very good. I turned back to the restroom and stood in front of the closed narrow path. Then I crossed the no-entry sign. Nothing happened. Let's set aside the praise and move first. I was almost moved to tears by how grateful I was. I sprinted up the steep hiking trail at my maximum speed, almost sprinting away. Fragments of broken plastic and decorative items flashed beneath my hands and feet amidst the dirt. It seems like the place where something was is definitely here. I pushed my speed even more. Upward, further upward. And finally, the end of the path appeared. Tack. I stepped forward and stood. From the top of the hill, I looked down below. It's a resort. A large-scale resort building was spread out next to the dark seaside. Did all famous franchise theme parks also operate such massive lodging facilities? It was so large, it was overwhelming just to look at it. Flower Golden Resort. It was already a completely abandoned facility. The Golden Lit Resort must have looked like quite a dream place once. But now it was old, paint peeling, and desolate. I looked at the sign with a yellow flower brightly smiling, which had a crack. And below that, even the familiar but older machinery. There's a gate at the entrance to the resort, too. Yes, that was expected. The way back to the resort from the theme park was also a kind of exit. Found it. I ran again, forgetting my exhaustion. The shadow that had been covering my body snapped away, and my steps quickened. But the gate here is off too. Can I use it? Of course. I looked around the old gate mechanism and opened the emergency control panel. Just like I did at the attraction. And I activated the emergency power. Zing! Creaking, sporadic lights came on in the gate machine. Because the mascot had its eyes wide open, I couldn't do it earlier. This level of operation was manageable on my own. I stood in front of the gate, where the lights were coming on most completely. I took a deep breath. Until the final confirmation. Braun, if I enter that resort with my membership, do you think I have to use those facilities? Haha, those rundown places. Their business seems to have ended long ago, and it's already an ownerless property. It's not a theme park, just land. Thank you for the sharp and accurate assessment, friend. I immediately brought my membership to the gate. Click. The old gate machine read my membership. Ding. The device's lights flickered. Goodbye. Done. Feeling a shiver as I moved my feet. Goodness, they followed. I turned around. Far away, I saw a blue figure crawling up the narrow path. Mascot. It was the blue dragon. The mascot in uniform that I saw at the gate was approaching at a terrifying speed, then stopped. It's staggering. Tusk, that mascot thinks it's the protagonist of a drama. Let's get out quickly. I felt uneasy. This is completely a foreshadowing of revenge. There's nothing good about being hated by a being from a creepypasta, right? I thought and rummaged through my pocket, finding something that was still left. Alice's picnic set cookie. It was this flat cookie item that I had never used before. I lightly threw the paper-wrapped cookie at the mascot. Mr. Roe dear, you are excessively kind. No. Anyway, I gave it to you, dragon. As I confirmed that the mascot received the cookie in its hand, I crossed the gate. Goodchild. I escaped from the creepypasta. Midst the world swirling around, I heard the faint voice of the good friend. Now I'm getting strength. I feel like I can move. I opened my eyes. I realized I was sitting in the conference room of Research Team 1 on the 17th floor, empty and dark, right in the middle of Seoul. I survived. I succeeded in escaping. Feeling an overwhelming sense of liberation stretching to the tips of my hair, I immediately stood up from my seat. Is no one here? A few hours had passed, so it seemed everyone had moved from the conference room. I thought of calling to let them know I had escaped. I looked at my wrist. Cheerful Fantasyland membership. The band was still there. What is this? And then it began to burn. In an instant, the form of the admission ticket disappeared. But something remained. Exactly where the admission ticket had been, there was a black inscription engraved on my wrist. Socius. What the heck? Chapter 26. After I finally escaped from that crazy theme park. Ro. Well, crazy rose back. I was met with a warm welcome from my teammates, who I ran into in the elevator. Turns out, the team had been in a panic, and was even thinking of reaching out to one of the civilian survivors to find out what could have happened inside the ghost story. We were just trying to get some insight from them. Anyway, it's a relief you made it out safely. D-Squad's assistant manager spoke with a much brighter expression. What happened exactly? Why were you late? Before answering, I deliberately raised my hand so my wrist faced outward, massaging the back of my neck so they could clearly see the burn mark left by the membership. Socius. Ro. Oh, sorry, just really tired for a moment. Both Assistant Manager Yoon and Supervisor Park just nodded, acknowledging that after all that hellish ordeal, it made sense. That's when I realized. They can't see it. No reaction, that tattoo isn't visible to them. Not a great sign. After a short pause, I decided to speak. The reason I was late, well, actually, the power to the exit gate went out right in front of me. I waited, but when it didn't come back on, I had to find another way out. I deliberately left out the part where the regular admission band turned into a membership band. In this bizarre ghost story company, it wouldn't be wise to mention that something weird has attached itself to me. Let us also leave out the part about the talking plush doll. But aside from that, I explained everything in detail, so there shouldn't be any issues with recording the exploration logs and creating the manual. Wait a minute, so, you went to the yellow zone but the gate there was off too, so you manually turned it back on, by rewiring the circuit box. Yes. What are you? Hey, I'm just an ordinary roe deer. Right, I guess. In any case, the atmosphere lightened significantly. Your points will be credited tomorrow. Don't be surprised. I heard the total might be close to 10,000 points this time. Awesome, right? Actually, the points they'd get would be lower since I made it out alive. The two superiors who seemed so busy worrying about my survival that they hadn't even had time to wash yet looked at me and grinned. Honestly, I felt kind of grateful. It was even a bit touching, a warmth too good for this company. But someone was missing. Come to think of it, where's the squad leader? Assistant Manager Yoon averted her gaze. He got called by the team leader. It'll be fine, he'll just get scolded a bit. Honestly, if we're talking about the A-Squad's Mantis mask, isn't it like he practically did that to himself? Well, it did seem like squad leader Lee got on the wrong side of the A-Squad's leader. I remembered the teal duck mask glaring daggers at him. Even Supervisor Park was whispering now. Assistant Manager, is that actually true? What? That our squad leader has enough qualifications for the elite team, but keeps getting held back in D-Squad because of his personality. Oh, it's probably true. Assistant Manager Yoon crossed her arms. But he's been like that his whole life, so people just let him be. It does seem like God is fair, considering that face with that personality. SHHH, he's a good superior. A lizard face with a lizard personality. Well, I could now somewhat understand, and agree that he was indeed a decent superior. Especially since I'd just seen the worst kind of boss up close. And about Research Team 1's section chief. The head of Research Team 1, Kwak Yiking, who had impulsively thrown his squad member into a ghost story and eventually got him killed. He really crossed the line. Apparently, he's now arguing that he was so startled himself that he accidentally sacrificed the researcher as a pawn. Even though anyone could tell it was intentional. Everyone from the exploration team present at that scene would remember it wasn't the case. The problem is, there isn't anyone willing to testify strongly for the deceased, gambling-addicted researcher. Just look at the state of our outspoken superiors. The A-Squad's leader is totally fixated on our D-Squad's leader, so much that she doesn't even care about Research Team 1's section chief. The expectation was that things would just get swept under the rug, with maybe a slight pay cut as the only consequence. Since this is a company where employees' lives are valued based on their performance, it didn't look like a department head would face serious disciplinary action over the accidental death of an expendable employee. Is this why Kwak Yiking, the researcher, kept showing up in the dark exploration records? One wrong move and he'd be in deep trouble, but he seemed to be crafty enough to avoid it each time, slithering away like a snake. The Team D superiors clicked their tongues, saying that some of the creepy rumors about Kwak Yiking must have been true. I hate the thought of having to keep working with that guy, but since he threw a fit this time, he might calm down a bit until the next quarter. Right, if he hadn't, he would have been fired by now. It was exactly the kind of complacency expected in a company where employees risked their lives for ghost stories. I agree to some extent, but honestly it felt like Kwak Yiking wasn't just trying to kill his own researcher but all of us. The researcher was just a pawn in his chaos. But thanks to everyone's safe escape, that part got blurred, leaving things a bit murky. I'll have to keep an eye on him going forward. I resolved to thoroughly check the dark exploration records, wiki page where Kwak Yiking was mentioned. Phew, what a long day. Seriously? The conversation died down. Since squad leader Lee Jae-hyun's return was uncertain, we got permission to go home for the day. Assistant Manager Yoon grinned. There's nothing more to do. You haven't been reported as missing yet. We thought we might find you, good thing we did. Yeah, we all believed you'd turn up. Go home and get some rest. Thank you. Oh, come on, no need for that. With their parting words, look forward to those points tomorrow, I said goodbye to my superiors. I returned to Research Team 1's office to gather my things and started heading home. And along the way, I met a familiar face. Jang Hyo-yoon. Soli Mesesai. A new recruit from the Y Squad. Since all his squad mates had died, he'd somehow been relegated to the background, sitting idly in the Research Team 1's office. And although his shoulder had healed, he was still wearing his blood-stained clothes. You made it out safely, I'm relieved. Yes, thank you. I sat across from him for a moment and made some small talk. Jang Hyo-yoon looked a bit pale, probably from blood loss, but his gloomy expression seemed somewhat lighter. Though it feels odd to call him lucky, given what happened to his squadmates. I recalled what the superiors had hinted at earlier. Ah, that new recruit from Y Squad. Looks like management is considering him favorably after his performance this time. If he maintains it, he's likely to be promoted to a regular employee within 3 months. If he can make it through 3 months without incident, there's a high chance he'll be transferred to a standard position. That all sounds great. The problem is, can he survive those 3 months? So have you ever thought about quitting? Your situation is too dangerous right now. No. A firm answer returned. Jang Hyo-yoon, the new recruit from Y Squad, still wearing his cow mask, clenched both fists tightly. I need that wish ticket, I can't quit. Seems he has his own reasons. In that case, I wish you the best of luck. After hesitating, I added a few words. 3 months. Pardon. If you can endure for just 3 months, there's a high chance you'll be reassigned. There's a big difference between enduring indefinitely and having a set period to push through. From a motivational standpoint as well. A glimmer appeared in Jang Hyo-yoon's eyes. Why, yes, I'll try my best to make it. He took a deep breath, looking at the ceiling, then lowered his head respectfully. You've helped me a lot today. In 3 months, I'll work hard to return the favor. No need. Thanks to you, I made it out safely as well. Thank you. We shook hands, and with a mix of sympathy and understanding, I found myself saying it almost automatically. Thank you for all your hard work. It must have been frightening for you. Pardon? Look of puzzlement passed over Jang Hyo-yoon's face. Oh, it's fine. I've nearly died a few times before. Not just that, you must have seen some very disturbing scenes as well. Oh, that's true. Jang Hyo-yoon gave an embarrassed smile. I'm not great with blood or organs. I keep fainting or my legs give out. I see. Hold on. The definition of disturbing scenes seems to have narrowed down quite a bit just now. No way. Hyo-yoon SSI, does that mean that supernatural phenomena or ghosts don't bother you? Yes, those things don't bother me at all. It's just that I tend to think, oh, so that's what it is. Yes. Unless someone gets severely injured, I don't feel much about it. So he's not a coward. Thank you for your concern. Oh, that's right. Solium SSI, did you happen to talk to that person in the new recruit group chat? Oh, why you're not in there? There's a new recruit group chat. So he wasn't a fellow member of the Cowards Club. And there was a rookie group chat that I wasn't a part of. Huh? I returned home to the company dorm in a troubled state, showered, and came back out. 2 shocking truths left a lingering sting at the back of my mind. What a long day. I'd received the new recruit chat link from that traitor. No, I mean Jang Hyo-yoon SSI, so I'd need to check that out later. But there was something of higher priority to look into first. I should check the tattoo on my wrist. Several possibilities crossed my mind, but fortunately, there was someone I could casually ask about it. Good friend. I sat on the bed and pulled the plush doll keychain from the front pocket of my suit. Then I called out, Braun, but there was no answer. Just as expected. It was said that once back in reality, the doll would appear as a regular plush toy. The good friend will accompany you in daily life, but it will be like a shy doll. Treat it properly. It remembers everything. So it wasn't just keeping quiet and blending in at the company. It actually couldn't speak in this state. But there was still a way to talk to the good friend outside of ghost stories. I just need to turn reality into a ghost story. I recalled a method from the dark exploration records. Talking with the good friend. One used darkness, a lighter, and shadows. Honestly, it was a bit creepy, but here goes. I leaned down beneath the bed. Then I propped the good friend against the inside of the right bed leg. Next, the light. I'd quit smoking ages ago, so I didn't have a lighter, but I substituted with my phone flashlight. Placing it on the floor to cast a narrow beam on the bed leg, I turned off the room light. Click. I sat on the bed in the pitch dark. This is kind of creepy. A chill ran down my spine, so I pulled the blanket over myself. There's no need to feel embarrassed. I'm alone after all. Though I might not be alone much longer. I looked up, and the flashlight under the bed cast a massive shadow of the plush doll on the wall. Soon, the shadow of the plush doll leaning against the bed leg began to sway along with the light. as if it were stirring awake. If I watched carefully, holding my breath, a voice would soon follow. A voice that sounded almost like an illusion. "Friend. Braun." The host had awoken. "Ah, I see you made it out safely from that strange theme park. Congratulations." "Thank you." Braun seemed to be recalling, almost like replaying a tape, the rough outline of what had happened to me since I left the ghost story. "So this is what it means to remember everything." "Right, you've clocked out, friend. Are you home to rest now? Oh, it's quite a cozy place." "Thank you, sir. Though technically, this wasn't my home but a company dorm." Now that I think about it, Mr. Rowe dear, you're speaking to me very formally. Friends don't need to speak like that, you know." "Braun, you're speaking quite formally yourself." "Haha, I can't help it. It's an occupational hazard." I swallowed back the words. I, too, am a rookie at this crazy ghost story company with an occupational hazard. The friendlier this plush doll became, the safer and more powerful it would be. "All right, then I'll speak more casually from now on, since we're friends." "Oh, that's great, one." The shadow of the doll shook, as if nodding cheerfully. "Good, now to the main point. I actually have something to ask my friend." "Oh, then how about we take turns asking each other questions, but we must answer each question. It'll be like a game." "Ah, that sounds so fun." "Stop making it sound like a ghost story." "Sure, that sounds fun." But I forced myself to respond agreeably. "Feels like I'm working overtime. Gotta stay strong. What I wanted to ask is this." I immediately raised my left hand and lowered it under the bed, making sure the black letters, like a tattoo on my wrist, were clearly visible to the plush doll in front of me. When the membership wristband burned up, this mark was left behind. A moment of silence. And then, "This is Latin, An odd mix of fascination and absorption was evident in his tone. The voice dropped lower. "Socius." It means companion, member, or kin, the versatility of Latin. I know that much. I'd looked it up on a dictionary app on the way back. The fact that the membership wristband had burned up, leaving behind a word meaning member, seemed fairly connected, but what mattered more was this. But other people don't seem to be able to see it. What do you think the reason is? Oh dear, it seems they all have poor eyesight. I can see it quite well. Though creatures within ghost stories can see this. Glad you can see it. I rephrased my question. Then what role do you think this mark serves? It's a mark granting you certain qualifications. Without hesitation, Braun responded in a cheerful tone. You know how VIPs sometimes attend talk shows as special guests? They're often given distinctive marks that set them apart from the other audience members, like a name tag or badge. Such a distinguished mark grants privileges like special seating, rehearsal viewing, or backstage access. I instinctively raised my arm to look at the mark. So this is like a special qualification. Well, at least to the theme park mascots, yes. Braun's voice turned dismissive. Those overly emotional mascots seem to be a bit too friendly with you, Mr. Rowe dear. Next time you visit, perhaps you'll get a welcome drink with it. I'd rather never visit again. But I nodded in agreement to appear cooperative. Good, good. Being social is so exhausting. Anyway, though the qualification it grants is vague, it doesn't seem to be entirely negative. If I enter another ghost story, I'll have to see if there's any use for it. The plush doll's shadow swayed a few times, as if in excitement, then whispered softly. Did you know? Know what? Mr. Rowe dear, you've just asked 2 questions. That's a rule violation. A chill ran down my spine. Haha, don't worry. It's often the charm of being close to someone to bend the rules occasionally, isn't it? Phew. Thank you. No need to thank me. Now it's my turn to ask a question. I swallowed nervously, looking at the large shadow of the doll cast on the wall. What do you want to know? Braun whispered. Who lives in the room next to yours? It was an unexpected question. And of course, in the next room here in the dorm. A colleague. Baek Deoksu. Are you close? Not at all. Just a work colleague. Ah, I see, very well. Braun's voice became cheerful again. Friend, it's probably best if you don't pay attention to that work colleague living next door. Why? Because he'll drop dead soon. Note S. Braun still continues to speak to Sialem formally with the Kosupnida, new speech level, while Sialem dropped formalities and is speaking to Braun without honorifics. It's a bit difficult to include this in English since there's no speech levels here, so just keep this in mind for now until it maybe changes in the future. Right arrow curving left. Chapter 27. Baek Deoksu. You morons, If one eye is all it takes to escape, just do it already. My coworker, the one who caused that commotion on the subway. He's also a notable figure in the dark exploration records, and will probably keep leaving his mark on his way up to assistant manager. What, he'll die? Suddenly, a keychain plushie from a creepypasta just sentenced Baek Deoksu to death. Reflexively, I couldn't help but ask this question. Why? But I know a future where he's promoted up to assistant manager. Oh, it's a classic, really classic. Mr. Rodeer, have you ever seen movies like that? Movies? Yes, the kind with a serial killer in them. Please. In popular media, there are certain typical targets who end up as victims. Blondes, college students, hitchhikers, or those wearing something like red shoes, these kinds of noticeable symbols. And do you know what the most classic and foolproof victim selection is? The shadow of the plush doll whispered. It's picking up something that belongs to the killer. The large black shadow cast on the wall pointed beyond it. Your work colleague picked up an item, and now he's going to die in a brutal way. Seriously? Anyway, thanks for the warning. You're most welcome. As politely as possible, I told him that I needed to sleep for work tomorrow, and thankfully, my good friend gladly understood my situation. Goodness, it must have been a tiring day. May you sleep soundly and have sweet dreams. That seems unlikely. And you contributed to that disaster. Adios. The flashlight on my phone switched off on its own, and the large shadow on the wall disappeared. After a moment's thought, I grabbed a clean towel, made a soft little spot on the desk, and placed the plush doll on it. Hopefully, with this much courtesy, he won't come after me in a nightmare with a cleaver. Of course, I probably need to worry about whether I can even fall asleep and dream at this point. I turned the nightlight to its brightest setting and lay down in bed. Baek Deoksu. He's probably asleep next door by now. What exactly did he pick up? What sort of horrendous ghost story artifact did he grab for the plush doll next door to sense it through the wall? Is it the butterfly effect, or was it something that was already bound to happen? I thought back to what Baek Deoksu had done in the dark exploration records, but even after searching through the wiki, I couldn't find any relevant information. Maybe that's not surprising. If it happened outside of work, it might not have been documented. If I go knocking on his door in the middle of the night, he'll probably have a heart attack, won't he? Besides, I'm not exactly eager to voluntarily approach something scary enough to put me on a serial killer's target list. Honestly, he's not even the type of roommate I'd risk my life to warn. But now that I know, giving him at least a warning is the right thing to do. An indirect way to reach out. Got it. It also ties into what I was going to do next. I lay in bed and checked my phone messenger. Jang Hee-won, this is the rookie group chat. Please join using this link. Thank you. Link. A colleague from Y Squad had sent it. With a sigh, I clicked the link. Field Exploration Team Batch 17 chat room. It was an open Kakao Talk chat. The reason for this setup probably had something to do with reducing the emotional impact when news of a death came through, as it wasn't linked to personal contacts. In any case, everyone used their names for their profile names, so identifying people wouldn't be a problem. I'd better set mine to my name and enter. Kim Solium has joined. And as I began to type a greeting, well, dang, is it really you, Kim Solium SSI? Welcome. It's really you. May I ask who gave the invite? Even before I could write a greeting, intense reactions poured in. Surely, they're not wondering who cluelessly invited that person, right? On the positive side, maybe my recent performance had been good enough to spark some curiosity or rumors. I simply posted a short greeting. Nice to meet you all, I'll be in your care. As if waiting for it, someone immediately asked. Kang Yehek, is it true you received 40,000 points? Haha. Yes. Kang Yehek, so jealous. I'm curious about how you managed to get that, haha. I just did my best. I didn't respond further and simply sent a bowing emoticon. This place is just like a jungle. I wondered if this might be a warm group chat where colleagues share tips, support each other, and enjoy hobbies together, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It's more like an intern group chat where only 10% will make it to full-time positions. In other words, everyone is subtly trying to gain any advantage they can. Well, with people constantly dying and the wish ticket feeling so far out of reach, I guess it's understandable. Getting too attached to this chat could make the news of someone's death all the more depressing. It left a slightly bitter taste in my mouth, but I could understand it. Go Yeonjun, H waiting emoji. Go Yeonjun, clapping emoji. Still, there seem to be some genuinely nice colleagues here. She seems to be doing well. I nodded, seeing the clean, supportive emoticons from my med school dropout colleague, who'd backed me up that time on the death-ridden subway. All right, let's do what I came here to do. Time to follow the voice of my conscience. I found Baek Sahian's profile in the group chat and initiated a one-on-one open chat with him. And I wrote, "Watch out for serial killers." The number 1 serving as an unread mark disappeared in a second. But no reply came. Well, maybe he feels a bit guilty himself. If he feels guilty, he'll be careful. This should be enough as a warning. I'll send it every morning from now on. If I keep this up for about a week, the message's impact should hold until it wears off. Satisfied with my efforts, I turned off my phone. Time to sleep. Whether I'll actually manage to sleep is uncertain, but I should at least try. I have work tomorrow, sob. If only the company would explode. I lay there feeling the weight of the sad reality that, given the company's nature, I'd still have to show up for work. I ended up staying awake all night. When I finally dozed off in the early hours, I dreamed of being chased by theme park mascots wielding intestines, then offering churros to the plushie. Save me. Just another night of trauma for a regular office worker. The news I heard the next day, however, was anything but ordinary. Ro, you hit the jackpot. You earned 20,000 points. Pardon? I looked up and checked this morning's point total. Employee Kim Solium earned points, 20,000 P. It's for real. They definitely told me yesterday it'd only be 10,000 points. Supervisor Park slapped my shoulder repeatedly. Assistant Manager Jin from A Squad reported that you absolutely deserve the extra points. Assistant Manager Jin. Thank you, Assistant Manager Jin, for recognizing my desperate efforts to get us all out, even to the point that you had to drill a hole in my palm. In my mind, I raised my evaluation of the butterfly mask-wearing assistant manager from a cold, work-driven psycho to a quick-witted and fair superior. Originally, our squad leader was also supposed to be named a primary contributor for the mission, but the A Squad leader threw a fit. Well, honestly, I could see why she would react that way from her perspective. Did I benefit unintentionally from the fallout? Not sure if I should feel pleased, but I'll accept it gratefully. Anyway, Ro, it's a big win for you. You've already broken the fastest point-turning record since joining. Insane. Thank you. Though I may have to give up on staying unnoticed in this company soon. Still, points are sweet. And that wasn't even the end of it. Before the morning was over, I got a call. Assistant Manager Jin. Yeah. I had just been expecting to relax a bit after finishing a B-level ghost story exploration yesterday and working on some paperwork. A call came in over the internal network from the A Squad Assistant Manager. Naturally, I began with gratitude. Thank you. I heard you recommended me as a primary contributor for clearing the theme park darkness. Things work best when the person who does well gets more points. No need to thank me for that. Yes. Anyway, get up here. My team's going into a darkness mission today, but we're short-staffed, so you're coming to help. Don't want to. Yes, I don't want to. I'm a poor rookie who nearly kicked the bucket yesterday. Would it hurt to give me a break today? Please hold on a moment. Assistant Manager Yoon, there's a call for you. Oh, what's up? Help me out here, dear superior. I tried passing the call over to my superiors in hopes of dodging it, but it didn't work. A Squad is short-staffed. Is this an A Squad backup call? I know. Even Supervisor Park, who had been slumped over his desk, sprang up with his chair and started whispering with interest. Wait a second, did A Squad really ask for Ro to fill the spot? I don't know, Supervisor, my shoulders hurt. Please stop shaking me. Got it, yes. In the meantime, Assistant Manager Yoon ended the call, then shook her fist at me with a gleam in her eye. Hey, go. Pardon? That's right, with A Squad as it is right now, it's a golden opportunity. Safer conditions and more money. Don't let this slip by. All those points, Ro, points. So basically, the Elite A Squad gets extra points for each assignment. That's a pretty sweet deal. And since there's no call for Y Squad or the other round-off squads, it doesn't sound like a sacrificial type of darkness either. On top of that, they even called a rookie like me as a stand-in, so it likely isn't a tough mission. In short, it's overtime work with good pay and an easy win. With the vacancy, they needed to bring someone along. They must have liked what they saw in you yesterday and thought they'd give you a chance. Go for it. I have no excuse left. Saying something like, I was so scared that I couldn't even sleep, so now I just want to rest, would sound completely ridiculous now. If an employee from the field exploration team talks about being scared when a relatively safe situation with substantial points is on the line, they'd look suspicious. If I didn't want to be branded a coward and sent to the round-off team, I'd have to keep my mouth shut. So with reluctant steps, I dragged myself toward the 15th floor. That's right, rookie spirit. It feels more like defeat than spirit, honestly. I trudged to the elevator, trying not to look too miserable. When I reached the top floor of the field exploration team, the 15th floor, and the doors opened, I was in for a surprise. There were no cramped desks or partitions typical of an office. Instead, it looked like a luxurious lounge you'd find in a hotel, with separate, private glass-walled spaces beyond, each marked with a staff member's name. My God! A personal office for each person. It was the kind of benefit you'd expect for executives. Is this some kind of motivation? Apparently, becoming an elite team member in the field exploration team granted access to private space like this. It's every office worker's dream. Just then, a familiar face stepped out from the glass door next to me. It was my superior, already wearing her butterfly mask. Hello, Assistant Manager Jin. Hey. Assistant Manager Jin from A Squad looked more human than she had in the ghost story. The squad leader said she'd like to see you again. Then from the larger office opposite, A Squad's leader emerged, holding a cup of joe. Mr. Rowe, dear. Good morning, Section Chief. The middle-aged A Squad leader smiled warmly and patted me on the shoulder, as if she hadn't been glaring at squad leader Lee Jae-hyun like she was about to kill him back at the theme park. Assistant Manager Jin isn't the type to praise others, but she seems to think very highly of you, Mr. Rowe, dear. I've heard great things. Is it really that much? So I thought I'd call you over today. It's the first time I've seen Assistant Manager Jin compliment someone like that. Reflexively, I glanced over at A Squad's assistant manager. Wearing her butterfly mask, she smirked with a slight scoff. I was simply reporting the facts. Oh, there you go again. The butterfly-masked superior frowned as she made eye contact with me, but her tone softened. What, you did a good job, didn't you? Thank you. Yeah, do well today, too. Youngsters learn to get along. With a chuckle, the A Squad leader, who was wearing a teal duck mask, watched the scene unfold. Welcome to A Squad, Kim Solium. All right then, let's get to work. Honestly, I was a bit curious. Do elite teams have a different approach? There was a sense of anticipation that perhaps A Squad's process would be different from the regular team, who get thrown into darkness with only a quick briefing and the manual to read on the day of the mission. And it is different, all right. Collector confirmed, data recorder confirmed, mask confirmed, equipment confirmed, basic supplies confirmed. With 31 minutes remaining until entry time of identification code QTurwasi 402 at 1100H, preparation check completed. This is intense. The atmosphere here was entirely different from D Squad, where we'd sit around a couch, exchange jokes, and head off into the darkness, often with the squad leader not understanding half the humor. Despite being down a member, and with only 2 people left, A Squad maintained a strict hierarchy and protocol. Right as I arrived, they immediately had me run through the equipment check briefing. All done. Good, let's head in. Yes, ma'am. Temporary or not, it was clear that the lowest-ranking member would do the grunt work here. Come to think of it, Assistant Manager Jin isn't the easiest person to get along with, yet she was formally respectful to the squad leader. Well, at some point, I'd have to experience a team like this. It might be good to go through this kind of experience at least once. As long as they don't find out I'm a scaredy cat. If only I knew what kind of ghost story we'd be entering today, I could mentally prepare. Just then, A Squad's leader, holding the manual, addressed me. Oh, Solium SSI, you haven't read the manual, have you? I haven't, ma'am. Trying to stay positive, I reached out politely to receive it from the squad leader. But just as the manual for this darkness exploration was about to be handed to me, she paused. Actually, Solium SSI, why don't you try going in without one this time? Pardon? I heard your specialty is figuring things out without a manual. I looked up in shock. Underneath the teal duck mask, I could see A Squad's leader smiling. If it seems dangerous, I'll give it to you immediately. Got it. So what she's saying is, she'll decide if it's dangerous, not me. Meaning she might never hand it over until the end. They both know what's in the manual, yet I'm supposed to go in blind. All right, shall we go? It's been a while since work has felt this fun. Wait, is this bullying in the workplace? It's so stereotypical it feels like a joke. I feel lightheaded. But why would a squad leader from another squad that I just met yesterday go out of her way to do this? Oh. Lee Jae-hyun. Could it be that our D-Squad's lizard chief really rubbed her the wrong way, and now she's taking it out on me, his rookie? Why must I be dragged into this mess as well? Chapter 28. As I prepare to enter a creepypasta with A-Squad, let's go over what I need to keep in mind. Stipulations. 1. I must not let them find out that I'm a coward. 2. I must not reveal that I already know the correct strategy to use. 3. I must survive this uncooperative squad leader's corporate bullying. Just kill me already. I think I've said this to myself more times since joining this company than I can count. But there's no helping it. It's my first time entering a creepypasta with a superior who actually wants to see me fail. Every day feels like a new kind of hell. And then there's the workaholic superior who would throw me straight into the cleanup team the second they find out I'm a coward. In other words, I'm entering a creepypasta alongside people who would rather hinder my survival than help it. Maybe the only way out is to scrape together enough points and use a wish ticket to escape from here. And the creepypasta we're entering this time is just as anxiety-inducing, filled with misleading clues. How does the place look to you? It seems like an abandoned factory, ma'am. A dark, old-smelling abandoned factory. Do you know how many creepypastas in the dark exploration records involve abandoned factories? At least dozens. And even more if you consider ghost stories where locations change randomly, including abandoned factories. I was hoping to quickly enter the identification code into the dark exploration records. Search bar as soon as I could get a moment to myself away from the 2 A-Squad members, but they didn't give me a single chance to be alone. There watching me like hawks. It was as if they were waiting for me to make a mistake, with both A-Squad superiors casting sidelong glances at me as they strolled slowly. I was breaking into a cold sweat. There isn't a single companion here to rely on. Friend. Oh, another setting, I see. I'm not the most suitable for a filming location, I must say. Such filthy conditions like a bedraggled donkey, don't you agree? I quickly looked down. The voice was coming from the keychain plushie, good friend, in my pocket. Brond, I do have a cooperative companion. W8, we're standing right next to my 2 A-Squad superiors, and if you just start talking openly like that. Oh dear, are you worried our precious friendship might be disturbed? Fret not. Those who are not friends have no right to hear my voice. Who? So no one else can hear him talking. Now that I think of it, there were records of the good friend only speaking to its owner. And it's also said to be able to pick up on the mood or surface thoughts of its companion. I felt somewhat reassured and tapped my pocket a few times. Haha, that tickles a little. I'm seriously gonna cry. This situation, where a creepypasta monster is my only source of comfort. Squad leader, there's a door over there. All right, Soli Mesesai, why don't you go ahead and open it? Soli Mesesai. Yes, ma'am. Swallowing a scream, I walked up to the rusty door. They don't even bother hiding the fact that they're out to make things hard for me, designating me specifically without even giving me the manual. Goodness, Mr. Roe dear, you look as though you're struggling. Is it an issue of stamina? Shake. I shook my head slightly, hoping it would go unnoticed. Then is it the filthy environment that's troubling you? Shake. Another small shake. Ah, I see. Then it must be that your companions are not quite suited to your preferences. Bingo. This is tough, both this horrid creepypasta setting and this workplace harassment. Are these bad people tormenting my dear friend? Shake. Oh, I see. Sometimes there are those who clash with us like 2 poles of a magnet. Let's keep going cheerfully, friend. Now my stomach hurts. On top of everything, I have to balance things so the plush doesn't go berserk. Is this normal? Caught between terror and stomach cramps, I somehow managed to steady myself and grab the rusty door handle. Kriyak. As the rusty door opened, it revealed the factory's main work area. It was filled with dust-covered cans and boxes, as though production had halted long ago. Spoiled contents seeped out of broken canned beef scattered around. But something stood out more strongly than the smell. The sharp, metallic stench of blood. And a body lying on the floor. Wait a sec. Do you see it? There's a corpse over there. Yes. Soli Mesesai, go ahead and search it. Yes. The only thing stopping me from collapsing in tears was the comforting warmth of the keychain plush in my pocket. Abandoned factory, corpse, abandoned factory, corpse. I combed through the dark exploration records, wiki in my mind, holding back an unbridled scream as I approached the body. The corpse was sprawled face down on the tracks, wearing a suit. A man in a suit, bleeding from the back of his head. He looked familiar, perhaps because he was around my age and wearing a suit. I'm going crazy. There was no way I could touch him directly. Without taking a single breath, I quickly summoned my special equipment, hovering my hands in the air to examine the corpse from various angles. Thank God it transmitted only pain and not touch. Truly, truly a relief. Male, height estimated between the high 170s and low 180s, wearing a suit, with bleeding localized to the back of the head. It appears he was struck by something with a diameter over 10 cm. Him not bad, now flip him over. Yes, ma'am. Kim Solium will remember this moment. I glared at A-Squad's leader with all the strength I could muster, holding back a retch as I forced myself to flip the corpse over in one swift motion. The face lay exposed, eyes closed. It was my face bleeding on the floor. Holy sh, holy fucking shit. These damn ghost stories, seriously. Oh, it looks exactly like Solium SSI, doesn't it? Could it be a trap? Squad leader, maybe it's time to at least give him the basic manual. Oh sure, I suppose you're right. A-Squad's leader looked at me, seemingly weighing the idea, then finally spoke slowly, as if granting a rare favor. Solium SSI, you're inside a story. Think of it as entering a novel or a movie. Yeah, I mean, I already figured that out myself. The moment I saw my own corpse, I realized which darkness this was. Dark Exploration Records / Ghost Story. The Day I Died. A ghost story featured in Dark Exploration Records. Daydream Inc. Identification Code QTurwasi 406. Ghost story that pulls the victim into an unsuccessful thriller mystery, making them the sacrificed character. The first witness is always faced with the discovery of their own sacrificial corpse. Exploration records indicate a total of up to 25 entries. It's a creepypasta tailor-made to drive someone to the edge of a mental breakdown. This is a potato. I tried to brainwash myself as best as I could, looking away from the corpse-shaped thing in front of me. Don't use your special equipment. Check it directly. Look carefully and examine every detail. Are you kidding me? No, I can't. I replied without even taking a breath. The eyes behind the teal duck mask narrowed. Oh no. I just talked back to a superior who's already prone to workplace harassment. I need to fix this pronto. Instinctively, I added more, smoothly following a well-tested routine I'd already used once. There's a faster way to escape. Not again. Why does it always go this way? My work conditions just expanded. Stipulations. 1. I must not let them find out that I'm a coward. 2. I must not reveal that I already know the correct strategy to use. 3. I must survive this uncooperative squad leader's corporate bullying. 4. I must pull off a timed escape, new. Still, the one good thing is that seeing my own corpse allowed me to confirm exactly which creepypasta this is. And the standard strategy for this creepypasta is this. To succeed, restructure the story so that the victim does not die. In this creepypasta, the more you explore, the further back in time you go. So typically you'd have to investigate the entire factory, figuring out why my corpse ended up dead and piecing together the story step by step. Failure to alter the story within the time limit will result in the victim's confirmed death. Normally you'd spend half a day in tense, desperate pursuit, racing against time to avoid the fixed fate of one guaranteed kill. At this rate my stomach will give out first. My digestive system won't survive this. If there's no shortcut, I'll have to make one. Help me out, Dark Exploration Records. The total of 25 documented exploration attempts. Surely there's a record of someone breaking the pattern with some creative or unconventional approach. Something that might serve as a hint. I quickly scanned through records in my mind. Let's see any unique experiences I can reference. Exploration Record 21. Entered by Assistant Manager Han So-yoon and 2 others. As soon as they entered the ghost story in the form of an abandoned lodge, the squad immediately recognized which story they were in. It was a widely mocked, failed thriller that became a meme online. Responses included ridicule, meme reenactments, bursts of laughter, and spoiler-filled derision. Result, the setting suddenly collapsed, transporting them to a different story, continued in Exploration Record 22. Testimonies indicate that crying, whimpering sounds were heard. Egu, is this a failed director's poltergeist or something? Even the fragile mentality is spot on. Researcher Quack Yikeng. Equals. Oh. Squad leader, assistant manager, could you give me just 10 minutes? All right. First things first, I decided not to leave any room for interference from my superiors. If I wanted to avoid workplace harassment disrupting this, I'd have to handle everything myself, no matter how frustrating or unfair it felt. I just need to do it quickly before I throw up or scream. I swiftly used my special equipment to recheck the indentation on the sticky back of the corpse's head, Uwug. Then I checked the footprints around the body, as well as the surrounding bloodstains. Why are you using your special equipment when you could just use your hands? Because handling it directly could damage the evidence. I thought this was the best approach to preserve the scene. I hadn't realized I had a talent for rapid-fire responses. Evidence, you sound like you're in a detective novel. It's not quite deduction, just a simple guess, and... I stood up. I found it. What? The answer. Immediately, I surveyed the area. Naturally, I used my special equipment to do this remotely. Let's see here. In a shadowy corner, partially hidden but not entirely, in a place that would be easy to overlook if you weren't paying attention. There it is. I pulled out a cylindrical object from a musty corner under the shelf. That's a can of food. Yes. There are cans all over the place here, though. Yes, after all, this place does seem like an abandoned canning factory. But this one was different. The can I picked up had a slightly dented edge with bloodstains on it. It was a classic cliché, the hidden in plain sight trope. Who, Mr. Roe dear? If this were a mystery story, this would be the decisive evidence. The shape matches perfectly with the wound on the head. Exactly. This matches the indentation left by the blunt force trauma on the back of the head. Ah, classic. The weapon was just an everyday object in the background that no one noticed. This is the structure of a typical work of fiction. Right. Anyway, A-Squad's assistant manager seemed to accept this, nodding. So that's the weapon then. Tucky. I let the potential weapon, the can, drop to the ground. Then I stomped on it with full force, crushing it hard. I tilted my head to the side. There's no way a human skull would be damaged by something with this level of force. It doesn't add up. Tremble. At that moment, the space around us shook slightly. But no matter how you look at it, it seems like they were struck with a can. That's what I'm saying. I nodded as if just realizing something. Oh, this can is aluminum. So what? Typically, cans are made of steel. A frown. Why would canned goods be made from aluminum like a drink can? Could it be? Intriguing. I intentionally paused for dramatic effect. A plat hole. Rattle. At that moment, the cans around me began to tremble slightly. But I ignored it and continued muttering to myself. That's certainly possible. After all, we encounter drink cans more often than canned food, so it wouldn't be too surprising if someone accidentally used the wrong material and labeled it as aluminum. Tool. But then, I stopped talking and gave a small, mocking laugh. But hey, no way. Soli SSI. Anyone could look it up with a quick search. No one would make such a basic mistake. Tricks are the most crucial part of any work of the mystery genre. They shouldn't be so sloppy. When you think about it, a murder happening in a canning factory with a can as the weapon is way too predictable, don't you think? I actually meant this. It lacks freshness and surprise. A writer with any sense wouldn't try to pass this off as their big plot twist. Oh, I agree. The space began to shake more violently. Honestly, this is so poorly done. I finished with a bored tone. Even an amateur wouldn't write something this sloppy these days. Boom. After a brief pause. Pub. Cans exploded all around us. What's happening? The space seemed to weep as it melted away, dripping like tears from all the ruptured cans. And then everything vanished. Just before the last remnants disappeared, there was the sound of someone sobbing, their cry filled with agony. The next moment, we found ourselves back in the familiar, luxurious lounge on the company's 15th floor. Covered in exploded canned meat. We got out. For the first time, A-Squad's leader faltered, visibly shaken. The darkness let us out, but why? Wiping chunks of burst canned beef from my face, I answered quietly. It had a mental breakdown. After escaping from the creepypasta featuring my own corpse, I cleaned off all the canned beef remains in the shower attached to the office. Then we gathered in the lounge once again. Wow, the rumors were true. You're really known for clearing fast without a manual. It's nothing. This isn't the time to be modest, Solium SSI. The A Squad's leader, having checked that the Dream Essence collector was filling with yellow liquid as expected, turned to look at me with admiration in her eyes. How did you reach this result? Yes, I knew she'd ask this. I clasped my hands behind my back and took a formal stance, ready to present as if in a lecture. It was my defensive stance, to avoid getting nitpicked for any signs of fear or incompetence in case my supervisor's workplace harassment tendencies decided to flare up again. I followed a standard deductive process. First, since I was repeatedly told to examine the corpse and survey the surroundings, I deduced that the corpse was likely central to our escape. Of course, it was probably just an excuse to make things harder on me, but the method with which you present your facts is everything. And since you mentioned this was a story, I figured it was a narrative where someone ends up as a corpse, meaning it had to be a murder mystery, either a film or a novel. So I guessed that preventing my own death would be the standard method to clear it. I shrugged, but that would take too long. Since you called me up for this, I wanted to finish it, preferably by this morning. A Squad's leader looked at me with a face that practically said, "What on earth are you talking about, rookie?" But honestly, a bit of eccentricity is better than fear, isn't it, Section Chief? So I looked for a shortcut. And how did you do that? There were hints. I looked at the two of them. In the way both of you acted. You'd read the manual, hadn't you? I noticed that your actions were giving me clues. Like how you kept pushing me to observe the corpse. If those hints were intentional, then there were probably even more subtle hints you weren't aware of. I recalled the most crucial clue. Right, Solium SSI, why don't you go ahead? Solium SSI. When we entered the darkness, you called me by my real name. Normally, in creepypastas, it's a strict recommendation not to use real names, but to stick with nicknames derived from the masks. There's a risk that real names can be exploited in harmful ways. Yet A Squad's leader called me Solium instead of Roe Deer. If someone as experienced and elite as her did that, there could only be one reason. She already knew it would be safe. That meant there was no sentient entity in this darkness that could harm me upon hearing my real name. It also implied that, aside from the death that had already occurred, there was no other supernatural interference at play. I added this explanation before continuing. So, realizing I had more freedom, I thought, why not be a bit more aggressive? I decided to attack the story itself and destabilize it. You thought that? Yes, a story loses its meaning if its foundation crumbles. I nodded. So I undermined its plausibility, causing the story to collapse and freeing us. That's all. Their faces were blank, as if processing what I'd just said. You inferred all that not just from the surroundings, but also from our conversation and behavior. Yes, ma'am. Not really. The truth is, I benchmarked off the exploration logs. The setting suddenly collapsed, transporting them to a different story, continued in Exploration Record 22. Testimonies indicate that crying, whimpering sounds were heard. Apparently, just mocking the failed story had shattered its mental stability enough for it to reassemble itself into a different story. I figured that if I just steadily dismantled its logic and insulted its creator's self-esteem, the whole thing would unravel, new story and all. And it worked. Yay. Just then, A Squad's leader looked at me and slowly spoke. You explain this, very casually, Solium SSI. Whoops. Well, it's not exactly the standard method. You could call it a shortcut if you'd like. Did I step on her toes? I quickly added, dropping my head apologetically to show remorse. Hopefully it would look genuine enough. Of course, I'm prepared to accept any reprimands. Yes, please, just let it be a scolding. I waited quietly, ready for the next wave of workplace harassment. But instead, clap, clap, clap. Applause. I looked up to see A Squad's leader, her teal duck mask now removed, gazing at me with a mix of surprise and satisfaction. You follow rules and orders, but you don't shy away from unconventional means. Excuse me. Very good, that's exactly the type of person we're looking for. Me? Solium SSI, you pass. What? There's a vacancy on A Squad, you know that right. At that moment I understood. Oh, this wasn't workplace harassment. It was a test. How about you fill that position officially? My God. This was a recruitment test for A Squad. Chapter 29. A new hire scouted to the elite team after only a month on the job. Sounds like the title of some self-help book designed to get attention. But this is actually happening for real. What is even going on here? Me and A Squad. Let's see, Solium SSI, you joined D Squad last month, right? Yes, let's get in touch with HR and handle it as a temporary assignment, then make it official in 5 months. Right then, Assistant Manager Jin. A Squad's leader turned to me with a satisfied smile. For starters, Solium SSI should be promoted to supervisor right away. The official announcement should be out by next week. Oh my god. This company may not care much about seniority, but there's still a minimum requirement, you know. This is insanely fast-tracked. Of course it is. They're even offering a promotion, this level of pull in the company. No, that's not it exactly. Typically, a potential elite team member would have to go through a couple of promotions, proving themselves in each role before officially getting into the team. The usual practice would be that you need to be at least a supervisor to even start in the elite team. Since they want me in A Squad, I need to be promoted, so management is just fast-tracking it. A Squad used to start at the assistant manager level. This is genuinely an extraordinary deal. But I mean, why? Why would they suddenly make this offer to me? The realization hit me like a bolt of lightning when I looked at the supremely pleased expression on the squad leader's face. I picked all the right answers today. I'd tried so hard, mistaking it for workplace harassment. No complaints with unjust tasks, working within their framework and eagerly generating ideas to produce results, behaving like the ideal employee. A newbie with no ego, a yes-man while trying to show creativity. Exactly the type of subordinate any boss dreams of. Solium SSI, go ahead and clock out. Be prepared for the official announcement, which could come as soon as next week. No way. This is a disaster. I'm the last person who should be going to A Squad. Their procedures are so rigid here. If I stay in this role, where I have to follow orders to the letter, there's a 90% chance my true cowardice will be exposed. Then the wish ticket will drift farther away, and my chances of survival will plunge. I'd really actually die. My mouth went dry at the chilling thought. Hey, wait a sec. Assistant Manager Jin looked at me with a doubtful expression. You're seriously thinking it over? I lowered my head slightly. Why, are you out of your mind? Are you worried about becoming like the shield bearers on the round-off team? Don't worry, we won't be sending you there. Assistant Manager Jin, hold on. A Squad's leader held her back, then turned to me with a reassuring expression. You're only a month into the job, so it must be a lot to take in all of a sudden. It's natural to have some doubts. But a wise person knows how to seize a bold opportunity when it comes. That's the key to success in society. It's a trap, not an opportunity. Oh, what do I do now? How could I get out of this without offending this senior boss? Rejecting this poorly might end up putting me on their bad side, which could mean real workplace harassment would start. I don't see a way out of this. But then, at that moment, ding! The elevators chime. The doors opened, revealing a familiar face, or rather, a familiar lizard. Squad leader, Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun, who'd been called to see the team leader, stepped out. The slits of his lizard eyes met the gaze of A Squad's leader. Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun. Section Chief Baek Deoksu. Lee stared blankly at A Squad's leader. I was told to apologize to you, so I apologize. A Squad's leader was clearly holding back from cursing. No, forget it. I'm the only one who's going to end up angry here, just me. I said forget it. Anyway, I've already scouted someone to fill the vacancy. A Squad's leader shook her head and patted me on the shoulder. Look, here's the new recruit who's going to be our squad's rookie. Quite a shocker of an announcement, but... I see. The lizard nodded. It's true that A Squad has better working conditions. Could you please pretend like I might have other options to explore? Fine, I'll handle this myself. I deliberately looked back and forth between the two squad leaders, pretending to be overwhelmed, then bowed my head slightly to A Squad's leader. First, let's think this through. From what I've observed of her personality so far, she's a stickler for rules. She divides tasks strictly by rank, doesn't tolerate insubordination, and values loyalty. Considering she's recruiting someone who's only been here a month, she's willing to take big risks when she decides, but only within her established guidelines. And she's the type who can't stand people going against her. In other words, the quintessential elite middle manager of a traditional, hierarchical conglomerate. If that's the case, I bowed my head. Section Chief Baek, thank you so much for offering me this generous position and seeing potential in a new hire like me. However, I still lack experience. I believe as a new employee I need to focus on foundational skills and knowledge. A squad's leader, staring intently at me, finally spoke up. Solium SSI, do you happen to know the starting base salary for the elite team? Not really. It's 80 million won, approx 57,000 USD. And once you add the hazard pay, the annual take-home usually starts around 150 million, approx 107,000 USD. Hot damn. We're also planning to designate you as a primary contributor for the C-Class darkness you cleared. You managed to clear it so quickly using an innovative approach. I guess. Moreover, you found a method that others might want to try too. Do you know what that implies? What does it mean? It means the manual might need a complete overhaul. Yes, not just an addition, a full revision. A squad's leader smiled gently. And when a manual is revised, there's a bonus payout. The amount isn't small. Normally, management isn't keen on handling revisions, but for the elite team, this is an exception. Oh, if you join the A squad, the process will be much smoother and quicker. You could say it's a matter of trustworthiness. Let's see the C-Class manual revision fee. With a deliberate pause, A squad's leader finally revealed the amount. 50 million won, approx 35,000 USD. Today alone, Solium SSI, that's your additional pay. 50 million won. You sure you want to pass up a chance to keep earning this? Well, of course not. But I can't die for money. Tears welled up in my eyes. This is nuts. No, Sialam, let's remember, all the money in this world is just like game money for me. Game money, game money. Right. I made my eyes shine with a bit of melancholy and began talking nonsense. I believe, more important than immediate money, I first need to hone my skills and value. This was insanity. The reason we hone skills and value is to earn more money, so why am I rejecting it? But I kept rambling in a way that perfectly aligned the 30 years ago corporate manager's mentality. Our ancestors used to say that it's worth even buying hardship when you're young. While I don't fully agree, I think there's a reason that saying exists. Assistant Manager Jin from A Squad looked at me as if I'd lost my mind. But it seemed to resonate with the top boss. A Squad's leader looked thoughtful. She narrowed her eyes at me, then sighed and nodded. Fine, if that's really how you feel, I suppose we can't push it. Wahoo! I thought you were a smart guy, Solium SSI, but maybe you're a bit more naive than I'd assumed. How are you going to make it in this harsh world? Perfect. The tone was slightly chiding, but since it's coming from her, it was practically a compliment. Even though she just couldn't resist adding a bit more. It's good to work hard, but being too pure-hearted isn't great for corporate life. Yes. If I may give you some advice, remember you don't get through work by clinging to emotions. Especially don't get attached to people who don't understand you. She glanced pointedly at a particular someone, her expression darkening. Don't do it, it's not worth it. Understood. She's talking about the stubborn psycho lizard chief, isn't she? Got it. Did you hear that, Section Chief Lee Jaehyun? Yes. The lizard replied like it was the most obvious thing in the world. I understand perfectly. Please stop with the, is this guy for real? Look, A Squad leader. Anyway. With a deep breath, A Squad's leader brought the conversation to a close. Good work today, head on home. Yes, ma'am. Sweet freedom. Thank you, I'll head out now. Finally, I can escape. I eagerly pressed the elevator button. Assistant Manager Jin quickly came up and whispered to me. You idiot, you're going to regret this. D-Squad Section Chief hasn't even seen a wish ticket yet. Our Section Chief has already received one. That's fine. I know that lizard guy will eventually make it to team leader. Of course, I couldn't say that, so I went with a compliment. I'm sure you'll get one soon too, Assistant Manager. What? I'll be sure to ask you all about it when that time comes. Assistant Manager Jin looked momentarily startled, then scoffed. You do seem to have some sense. You'll answer right. Yes. Though it was a verbal promise, from what I could tell of her personality. Gruff, yes, but not one to lie or go back on her word. Section Chief, Assistant Manager, thank you both very much for today. Sure, head on home. After expressing my thanks, I pressed the elevator button and quickly got inside before I could get dragged into anything further. But right on cue, Lizard Chief slipped in right behind me. Though he really did come here, just to deliver that soulless apology. Going down. As the elevator carried the two of us in silence, Lizard Chief unexpectedly started talking. Kim Solium SSI. Yes. Is there something you want in D-Squad? Huh? Are you implying with that question that you assume I stayed with D-Squad despite having a chance to join A-Squad because I want something specific? Yes. Good grief. After ruffling the back of my head a bit, I sighed and replied. There's nothing like that, Section Chief. I didn't choose to stay for any advantage. I stayed because I want to stay alive. Lizard Chief narrowed his slit pupils, looking puzzled. Staying in a regular team rather than an elite one results in a points loss. It'll take longer to get a wish ticket. That may be true. I shrugged. But even if I do want a wish ticket, I also want to stay alive long enough to use it. Until then, I'd rather be somewhere I can work with a bit more peace of mind. I'd rather not live in constant fear of being outed as a coward, you know. I see. Lizard Chief fell silent. Finally, some quiet as we rode down. What is your wish, Kim Solim SSI? More questions today than usual. Are you asking what I'd wish for if I got the ticket? Yes. In that case, I'd like to know yours first, Section Chief. It was my polite way of saying, why ask me such a one-sided question? But the lizard only blinked his vertical pupils and gazed into space, as if pondering. After a moment, he replied, It's not my wish. Pardon? I work here because I was assigned to, not by choice. This was something I never expected. I turned reflexively to look at him. Light glinted off the scales of his distinctly non-human head. Can I ask whose will it is? You may not. Oh, right. It didn't really hurt my feelings, knowing this lizard. Seems there's a story there. Since he'd answered, it felt like I should say something too. After a moment's thought, I chose my words. I just want to go home. In reality, Section Chief Lee could have followed up with countless questions. Where is home? Why is that your wish? Is it a place or more of a metaphor? But instead, he simply said, I see. And that was that. In the quiet, the elevator continued its peaceful descent. I have to admit now that, in a certain way, Lizard Chief is quite an easy conversation partner. Oddly enough, back at my dorm unit. Watch out for serial killers. After sending Baek Sahian another friendly disaster warning text, I lay down to rest. Another day packed with twists and turns. I seriously feel like this job is going to cut my lifespan in half. My heart can barely take it. Still, I can't deny there were some decent gains today. Extra points, networking with elite team superiors. And a hefty bonus. 5 million won approx. 3,500 USD. I wonder when it'll hit my account. I've said it's just game money, but to be fair, that just makes it all the more useful. I'll need it to increase my stats. I could really use more cash for the alien shop. With all these surprise emergencies, I felt the need for more defensive equipment, especially something for mental protection. And the alien shop has exclusive VIP items if you reach that level. Still thinking of today's earnings, I found myself speechless. 5 million won. Oh, legit, that's the bonus they're putting in a corporate employee's account. It's enough to mess with your sense of monetary value. And yet it still didn't feel like quite enough to get all the items I needed. Any other way to make some cash? BZZZT. My phone vibrated, a new pop-up flashing on the screen. Baek Sahian. No, not this time. Unexpectedly, I've been invited to a new open chatroom. K. Lee. The profile was set to a bright Hawaiian beach and displayed an English name. This feels suspicious. K. Lee, oh hello Mr. Employee Lala. K. Lee needs some extra cash. Who? Chapter 30. The moment I thought about needing some serious cash, a message from an unfamiliar profile asking if I needed money appeared. But this is in the realm of a creepypasta. K. Lee, Mr. Employee, haha. Blocking and leaving the chat room immediately seemed like the smart choice, but it also felt a bit too stereotypical. Since I'm in a ghost story, I might as well get some ghostly advice. I set my good friend Plushie under the bed, turned off the lights, and summoned Braun using the shadow trick, this time with a small flashlight I'd bought on my way home. Oh, friend. Braun snapped to attention with almost no delay this time. After recalling my escape from the previous creepypasta, he seemed rather pleased, quickly grasping the situation. An unfamiliar figure, offering a large sum of money. How suspicious, but isn't a touch of curiosity beyond suspicion the very essence of a show? Especially if it's accompanied by some sparkling gold. Despite the plushie sounding like a dopamine junkie, his reaction assured me that this wasn't a creepypasta-related phenomenon. In that case, I typed a quick question into the chat. Kim Solium, may I ask who this is? The reply came instantly. Honestly, I was expecting something vague, like Elmao just a friend Tilda, but instead, he gave a proper introduction. K. Lee, this is Assistant Manager Lee Kanghyun from the C-Squad, haha. The C-Squad, another elite team. Why would they reach out to me, and why would he reveal his identity and rank so openly? K. Lee, heard you turned down A-Squad's offer today. La 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 la. Crap. K. Lee, wow, gutsy. I've never seen such a capable rookie lala. K. Lee, sure you turned it down this time, but who knows, next year you might end up on another elite team, moving up right after promotion to assistant manager. Could be you. Is he using some sort of speed typing device? Sentences poured in like bombs before I could type a single word in response. I quickly pulled myself together and managed to reply with one line. Kim Solium, it's very nice to meet you, Assistant Manager Lee Kanghyun. K. Lee, no need to be so formal. If we run into each other at work, let's grab a meal sometime. I know a great charcoal grilled chicken place nearby, haha. K. Lee, oops, too chatty, aren't I? Anyway, the reason I reached out. The mood shifted. K. Lee, you need cash, right? K. Lee, it must be about time you're wishing for some extra funds. Right before promotion, those with potential are often looking for ways to acquire personal items lol. K. Lee, heard you already have your own special equipment. Bet you're scoping out ways to get your hands on more gear, right? I don't need anything like that. Just checking out the alien marketplace I already knew about. K. Lee, it all costs money, doesn't it, haha? K. Lee, no need to waste time and money buying meals or drinks for seniors when you can hear it straight from me, haha. Kim Solium, I appreciate the offer, but may I ask why you're telling me this? K. Lee, because I want to get closer, haha. Could you at least try lying more convincingly? K. Lee, curious, haha. I hesitated for a moment. Goodness, Mr. Roe dear, I can smell a cheap salesman from these words. Hardly someone who'd appear on a reputable channel. But cheap things have their own uses, if you play him right. I typed out my response. Kim Solium, no thanks. K. Lee. K. Lee, oh wow, Mr. Employee. You've got a sense of humor. That's fitting for someone breaking records for rapid point accumulation, haha. Kim Solium, I'll just ask my section chief instead. Kim Solium, have a good night, sir. K. Lee, WSIT gist. K. Lee, hey wait just a minute. K. Lee, are not a cousin of section chief Lee Jae-hyun, are you? You've got the same attitude. You might as well just curse at me directly. In any case, since he didn't know my personality well, my bluff seemed effective. He hastily fired off more messages. K. Lee, hey, I am not charging for this, just hear me out. I swear I don't make these offers often. TT. Messages came pouring in with a steady stream of taps going da-da-da. K. Lee's link. Along with a link to some webpage. K. Lee, if you need seed money or items, just go check this out. You can put me down as your referrer, Howyib53, just type that there and it'll work. K. Lee, you don't have to, of course, but since I referred you, it'd be nice if you could juice. Follow conscience la 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 la, you get what I am saying, Rit. Ha ha ha. K. Lee and PLS, keep this between just us. Shy emoji. A template. It looked like a copy-paste job if I'd ever seen one. K. Lee, anyway, remember who gave you the tip, okay? K. Lee has left the chat room. If he was worried about getting in trouble, why reveal his identity? Maybe he wanted me to feel some sense of obligation. I started typing, what kind of site did you send me, sir? But then erased it. Based on what he said about shopping, it seems like some sort of e-commerce site. It wouldn't hurt to explore alternatives to the alien shop, and his wording was intriguing. Seed money, huh? It seemed like it might offer a way to earn some serious money. Is this some kind of exclusive gambling site? Regardless, there was only one way to find out. After safely running a security check to verify the link, I cautiously clicked on it. The screen of my smartphone went pitch black, and text slowly appeared. Salmon. Like salmon swimming against the currents of a flowing river. We swim against this mad world. Cyworld 1. With an effect that made it look like salmon were swimming across the screen, the words faded, and new text appeared. Membership available, requires referral. This was in more ways than one, suspicious, but I went ahead and entered the referral ID from the employee who had referred me, creating an account just to check it out. The moment I logged in, I realized what this was. Salmon Market. So it's a second-hand trading site. This was a platform where people could buy and sell items directly to one another, except the listings here involved mystical and occult items or information. Dried mermaid meat for sale, certified by Han Nuri Jade. Looking for bloodless tile pieces untainted. Rare locations of misfortune vending machines. Verified info available $. Offering enchanted protective charms. As I clicked around, I quickly got a sense of the site's nature. So basically, it's full of scams. Note S. One Cyworld is a Korean company that provides microblogging services. It was very popular in the mid to late 2000s, right arrow curving left. From the perspective of anyone who's read dark exploration records, this was nothing more than random trinkets, meaningless props, or outright misinformation. In short, it felt like a second-hand occult marketplace with minimal professional credibility. I rubbed my forehead. Is this place mostly run by non-professionals? Public platforms inevitably lose their credibility over time. To prevent that requires considerable effort, but this place feels purposefully neglected. Amateurs often pay a high price for trivial items, just like fans peeling off bits of the stage floor where their favorite celebrity performed. Well, at least that's genuine memorabilia, but here it's all fake. Yet I noticed quite a few expensive transactions had actually been completed. Right, the world at large doesn't officially acknowledge supernatural phenomena. Governments, worried about social disorder, and corporations, wanting to protect trade secrets, investigate paranormal occurrences in secret. But even civilians are frequently affected by these incidents. There's no doubt urban legends and personal encounters circulate within society, so it makes sense that a site like this exists. Judging from the sky-high prices for some items, it's a wild place. One item for $1,000,000. Money's exchanging hands as if they're paying for security deposits. Maybe it's survival anxiety, or maybe the Veblen effect one applies to occult goods too. Could I actually sell something here? If that employee really was an assistant manager in the Elite C Squad, then Daydream Inc. Employees were likely using this site to sell odd trinkets and information. That, however, made me uneasy. If I cross the line, I'll definitely get flagged for an audit. I needed a secure setup. So I logged out of my current account and created a new one. As for a username, Blue Friend. Friend, oh, did you think of me? My, how touching. Well, I guess so. I just combined whatever came to mind. For the referral ID, I used the account I'd created earlier. Done. So you're creating a new identity to avoid tracking. Exactly. I'll use this account for items at Daydream Inc. Employees shouldn't have, or for things that might be flagged during an audit. This way, any purchases can't be tracked back to me. Of course, I'll still leave some transaction records on the first account. To avoid raising suspicion, smart thinking. On that account, I'd trade items that might appear to be within reasonable bounds for a Daydream Inc. employee. With that settled, it was time to think about what I could actually sell. Reselling items from the alien shop is out of the question. Seeing the amateur level of this site, that caused absolute chaos. Anyway, I'm busy enough buying things I actually need there to worry about reselling for profit. I scrolled through the latest posts on Salmon Market, looking for something low-key that I could still sell for a profit. Buying food from paranormal phenomena. Oh, buying food from paranormal phenomena. For research purposes. Strong preference for food originating from fracture-sanctioned phenomena, according to the Supernatural Disaster Management Bureau's classification. 40. There he goes again, this punk. Looking for food for research purposes. Fracture-sanctioned phenomena only. Pretentious glasses push. La. Is this guy a bot? He posts every day. Hey occult otaku, PLS, get out of your world. WTF even is the Supernatural Disaster Management Bureau's classification. Most of the comments were mocking or teasing. However, it's real. The Supernatural Disaster Management Bureau. In dark exploration records, they're one of the three major forces along with Daydream Inc., a government agency dedicated to handling paranormal events. The phone accessory I have, my Memorial Pop Socket, is also issued by this agency to their officials. And the Bureau classifies creepypasta risks by sanction. The classification level mentioned in this post, fracture sanctioned, is indeed a real ranking. In the Daydream Inc. S-system, it's roughly a little above a C-class creepypasta. This person clearly knows their stuff. I stared at the page. If this really is a legitimate contact, I probably won't get ripped off. Using terms only insiders would understand without explaining them lowered the chance that this was a scam. It boosted the post's credibility. And look at the price. 40. That's 40 million won, approx. 28,500 USD. At that price, anyone unfamiliar with the specifics might still contact them out of sheer curiosity. Sure enough, after digging through past posts, I found discussions in the comments. Wow, but it's 40 million one. Has anyone actually contacted them? I tried BC, I thought they're legit, but after asking a few questions, they just ghosted me LOL. Everyone's been left on read, just a poser. Nah, I am good. No, that's not it. From what they're saying, it sounds like the food they offered didn't meet the necessary, fracture-sanctioned level, so the person just ignored them. Conveniently, I happen to have something on hand that would likely meet their requirements. A food item with a mysterious origin and unknown effects that I certainly didn't dare to consume myself. Yep, I've got it. In fact, I even had 2 packs. Blue soda churros. Snack gifted by the Blue Dragon mascot at the theme park. That unsavory food. It wasn't that unsavory. Well, either way. Even a good child sometimes needs a bit of funding. The mascot would understand, Blue friend, hello there sir ma'am, I have the paranormal origin food item you're looking for. Message sent. The next day. It's perfect that it's the weekend. I was waiting near Gwanghwamun Station, holding a box containing 1 pack of the blue soda churros given to me by the mascot. I think I handled this well. I thought back to the messages I'd exchanged with the buyer yesterday. They'd replied almost instantly. T, what kind of food exactly? This was a key moment. I had 2 options. I could show off my expertise, hinting that I knew what the Supernatural Disaster Management Bureau and the fracture-sanctioned level were, to build trust with insider knowledge. Or, Blue friend, it's kind of like churros. I'm honestly not sure. I got it under some strange circumstances, and honestly, keeping it feels a bit unsettling. I also really need the money. Could we maybe meet so you can check it out? If it fits your needs, you can take it from there. I could play clueless and let the buyer make the call. Fortunately, the second approach worked. To be fair, that message was pretty much the truth. I wasn't keen on letting on that I worked for Daydream Inc. either. So here I was, waiting near exit 5 of Gwanghwamun Station, 7 minutes ahead of our meeting time. If anything feels off, I'll bail. I stayed alert. Soon, someone approached from the direction of Chingai Plaza, glancing around near exit 5. There, with the way they were scanning their surroundings, it was clear they were here for a transaction. Tall, dressed entirely in black, and wearing a mask, the person walked over as soon as our eyes met. You must be the one from Salmon. I nodded, opening the box to let them inspect the contents. The person reached out a gloved hand. Their voice sounded young, but I didn't expect them to be this cautious with their identity. Not that I'm one to talk. I'd also dressed in a hat, sunglasses, and anything else I could think of to obscure my face. Hood pulled low, I kept my eyes on their movements. If they tried to take off with the item, I'd move first. The buyer ran their gloved hand over the box and nodded before taking hold of it. This is exactly what I was looking for. Then they handed me a small box that looked like a sippy cup. When they opened it just a bit, I caught a glimpse of 50,000 won bills inside before it quickly closed again. They looked at me as if to ask why I wasn't taking it. I couldn't consult Braun, which was a shame, but first things first. I set the box down on the ground. After nodding politely, I pulled out a notepad from my pocket. I showed the open page to the buyer. I don't know the effects of this item. It wasn't dangerous to keep, but just in case, I'd recommend not consuming it. I know you said it's for research, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. I couldn't see their expression, but they seemed a bit taken aback. Sure, this looks like some kind of random performance, but apologies, I'd rather not risk having my voice recognized. After a brief bow, I showed the final page, nodded respectfully, took the cash cup and bolted. Have a nice day. Great. Once home, I deposited the cash immediately. It was the weekend, so it looked like Baek Sahian wasn't around. Judging by his comings and goings, he probably went back to his family's home. Anyway, it's time to log into the alien shop. I pulled up the link. Note S. One Veblen effect abnormal market behavior where consumers purchase the higher-priced goods whereas similar low-priced, but not identical substitutes are available. This behavior stems from the belief that the higher the price, the higher the quality. Right arrow curving left. Chapter 31. Alien Shop, what a unique name with a sense of style. Is it an online store too? I'd summoned Braun as well. He was thrilled that I'd drawn the curtains in the middle of the day for him, and couldn't get over how I'd sold the mascot snack. This friend of mine sure has a low threshold for being touched. To be fair, the mascot had given me 2 packs, and I'd saved one just in case. Anyway, to answer his question. Yep, it's online. You browse products on a page that looks like a flyer. Aha, is that so? Braun's cheerful voice echoed. I'm intrigued to see the shop that my friend frequents so often. Space Shopping Mall. Amazing items from outer space tilde. I'll take a look at the items. What is this? This is just a hideous flyer, completely devoid of any aesthetic appeal. Isn't usefulness more important than appearances? My word, Mr. Rodeer, appearances are just as important as the contents. Visual appeal is the first thing that draws in an audience. How could anyone be attracted to such an uninspiring and plain, not to mention ugly flyer? Sure. With Braun's commentary in the background, I clicked into the site. All right, Mr. Rodeer, I still have faith in you. Since you said it's worthwhile, I'm sure there's more to see behind the flyer. Items. Bloodbath tub, 29,999,999. Mysterious candle kit, 19,999,999. Snow White's apple, 11,999,999. We can help, 66,666,666. Sale, blood-sucking cutlery, 7,999,999. 14,999,999. Braun. No response. I think he fainted. Looks like my good friend here really understands the plight of designers, or, well, monsters who feel that plight. You okay? I need to rest. Be my guest. I turned my attention back to the items. Some listings immediately stood out as unchanged. The We Can Help item was still unavailable, and the blood-sucking cutlery were now marked as a discounted item. Still here, huh? Sale, blood-sucking cutlery, 7,999,999. 14,999,999. I thought someone would have bought it by now, or that the algorithm would have removed it from my recommendations, but here it was again. Do they think I'll buy it? It felt a bit weird, but anyway, moving on. The most expensive item I could actually purchase was Bloodbath tub, 29,999,999. I saw someone looking for one of these on the salmon market earlier. It was quite a well-known item. I remembered the description. Dark Exploration Records / Delusion Home Shopping. /items. Bloodbath tub. Today we present an extraordinary product, the amazing elixir of youth from our home shopping channel. Presenting the Tub of Youth. July 7, 20XX item description from Delusion Home Shopping. When filled with someone else's blood, this tub transforms the blood into a fragrant bath mix that heals wounds, relieves fatigue, treats arthritis, and enhances skin. Basically, a modern spin on the vampire legend, in item form. The price actually seemed surprisingly reasonable, considering the item's reputation. Still, the idea of bathing in a tub filled with someone else's blood, even if it becomes a fragrant bath mix, is enough to make my head spin. Let's check the next one. Mysterious candle kit, 19,999,999. This one was unfamiliar to me. But a candle tends to evoke the idea of light, and light is often a symbol of comfort and protection in creepypastas. Still, I'll need to consider carefully before spending 20 million won on it. And lastly, Snow White's apple, 11,999,999. Wow, even if it's useless, maybe I could turn around and sell it for 40 million won and make a huge profit. I mean, who knows if it'll count as food from paranormal phenomena, but it's worth a shot. The post seeking food from paranormal phenomena was still up, and the buyer was looking for research purposes, so they'd likely keep buying. Given all this, my choice was clear. These ones for sure. Mysterious candle kit, 19,999,999. Snow White's apple, 11,999,999. Sale, blood-sucking cutlery, 7,999,999. Equals 39,999,997. As I mentioned, light is the antithesis to a creepypasta, and an item that produces candles. I had a feeling that candles from this kit might be related to defense or protection. It's a worthwhile investment, even if it's expensive. Snow White's apple, too, was appealing for similar reasons. If it's called Snow White's apple, it probably has something to do with sleep. I really need some quality sleep these days. If that apple can actually help me sleep deeply, it would be perfect for me. My efficiency would skyrocket, and my survival rate would soar. Please just let it work. I hit the purchase button, desperately hopeful. And if it doesn't work, I can always sell it. A fallback plan is in place, just in case. Now for the last item, blood-sucking cutlery. With such a big discount, isn't it polite to buy it? The last discounted item I bought, the silver serpent, turned out to be quite useful, from custom gear to summoning brawn. For reference, if you press the plush keychain's belly, you can feel the round metal shape of the silver serpent inside. I'm not sure how useful the blood-sucking cutlery will be, but they might come in handy for trade or for selling to other employees. Now I have a cover story if anyone asks where I got it. I can just say I found it on the salmon market. So these are my 3 chosen items. All right. They fit perfectly within my budget. Time to finalize the purchase. Mr. Roe, dear. Out of nowhere, Braun called out to me. About that bloodbestub. What about it? I would like to have it. What? Friend, would you consider giving a gift to this Braun here? Braun's voice was uncharacteristically eager, tinged with a hint of craftiness. I've tried to help you with all my heart as your good friend, haven't I? Yet I've never asked for anything in return, so perhaps it wouldn't be too much to expect a small reward for my loyalty. Silence. Apologies, I've said something far too mercenary, trying to put a price on our friendship. A good friend would never do such a thing. Braun's shadow slumped in a gesture of shame, and his voice fell to a sad murmur. Please disregard this good friend's words. Sure. Pardon. The bloodbathtub, let's buy it. To be fair, he did help me escape the theme park. I owe him for that. After all, he saved my life, so the least I can do is return the favor. Besides, the money here feels like game currency, and I have a few promising ways to earn more in the future. Plus, keeping on Braun's good side is clearly the smart move, especially given the peculiar abilities he showed back at the park. And if I'm going to get it, I should do it wholeheartedly without holding back. Just a bit more cash, and I'll buy it for you as soon as it's deposited. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Mr. Roe, dear, my friend. Yeah, but remember, this isn't a reward or anything. It's just a gift because you're my friend, Braun. I understand, friend. I'll buy the bloodbathtub as soon as the extra funds are deposited. It should be in just a few days. Yes. His voice trembled with excitement and joy, and he took a moment to steady himself. I'm really looking forward to it, haha. It was good to see him so happy. Just please don't ask me to go find fresh blood. Oh, the items have arrived. That was quick. Once again, the ordered items arrived promptly, packed in a post-office box, and I indulged in a satisfying unboxing session. On top was the discounted vampire cutlery. Quite the refined cutlery set, isn't it? It looks suitable for an elegant setting. Small dessert fork and knife, exquisitely crafted and wrapped in leather. They gleamed delicately in the flashlight's glow, elegant and polished. The downside, of course, is that they're meant to be blood-stained for use, sigh. Still, I might as well keep them on hand. They're compact and easy to carry, and now that I have some custom gear and other items, it might be worth a try in a crisis. Underneath the cutlery was Easy and Fast Candle Making Kit. It was the mysterious candle kit box. With its colorful, cute design, it looked like a children's kit. Actually, this might be a good thing. If it's child-friendly, it'll be easy to make. I wanted to open it right away to check the instructions and materials, but the warning label plastered across the front caught my eye. No refunds after opening. Ingredients will spoil 12 hours after exposure to air, so use quickly. Recommended users, 3 people. Probably best to leave it unopened for now. I'll prep everything the night before my next assignment. Still, I was curious about the candle's effects. For 20 million won, it had to be more than ordinary. Only one item left then. Right. I finally looked at the last item at the bottom of the box, a small but hefty produce apple crate. No, seriously. Snow White mountain apples. So delicious, great for health and nutrition. Could this be a mistake? Did I accidentally order real farm produce? There was a letter attached on top of the box from the supplier. Let's see. To our valued customers who purchased Snow White apples, we express our sincere gratitude. This produce is grown with care and nourished with black square as fertilizer sourced from black, cultivated and harvested directly with the sweat of hard work. Its effects and taste are distinctively different from those of other orchards. Usage: chew and swallow 1 apple completely. Effect: immediately induces a death-like sleep where all biological activity ceases. This effect lasts until sunrise the next day. after which you will awaken with renewed energy and greatly improved condition. Note, this orchard is not liable for any changes to your body during the sleep state. Definitely paranormal. So it's like that potion in Romeo and Juliet, the one that makes you look dead. Got it. I opened the apple crate. Inside were 7 small, shiny, perfectly round apples, bright red and practically picture-perfect. Truly, they look healthy and beneficial. Really? But yes, this does seem quite useful. An item that induces a state of suspended animation and allows you to recover fully after a day. I could definitely find a use for it. So my current inventory now includes Good Friend, Blood-Sucking Cutlery, Mysterious Candle Kit, Snow White's Apples, Memorial Pop Socket, Smiley Sticker, Alice Picnic Set, then my special equipment, plus 1 pack of blue soda churros. And soon I'll add the bloodbath tub. Let's make the most of all these items and try to stay alive. Then sweet dreams to you, Mr. Roe dear. That night I went to bed a bit earlier. I slept fairly well, occasionally plagued by nightmares, but mostly undisturbed. I had a feeling that the next few days would at least be peaceful, so that might be what made me feel at ease. Let's rest up, reorganize, and get ready until the payment comes in. But a few days later, I faced a shocking reality. The additional allowance hasn't been deposited. Even the manual revision that the A-Squad leader mentioned hadn't been completed. I was supposed to receive a reward for that. What the heck? Was it all just a bluff? Did they really swindle me out of 50 million won? I immediately started investigating, and soon heard an unbelievable update. The person in charge is missing. Yeah, they haven't shown up for days. Apparently, an administrative staff member who handles the manual revisions is currently missing. And it's already been a week. Wait a damn minute. Then the manual review. It's been postponed indefinitely. It's not urgent, and you know how long it takes this company to reassign paperwork, probably at least 2 months. And no way. I made a promise with a certain creepypasta monster. Chapter 32. TN. Important edit to our favorite creepypasta monster's name. I'll be spelling his name as Braun from now on. I couldn't find any official confirmation from the author on this spelling, but Braun makes more sense for a dapper gentleman with a TV for a head if you take these things into account. https://n, Wikipedia, org/wiki/television set #early television and https://global, Samsung display, com/29755/. Oh, everyone, please adjust your mental image of our dear Braun tilde. He's got an old-timey TV head that looks kinda like this. https://global, Samsung display, com/29666/. Major thanks to Kellett for pointing this out. Wouldn't have caught that if not for you. The missing manual evaluator. The missing 50 million won. And the soon-to-be-missing gift, the bloodbath tub, pending. To make matters worse, Braun, the one who requested the gift, is currently in my bag pocket. He's probably hearing all of this shit. I'd been bringing him along just in case we entered another creepypasta scenario. Leaving him at home made me antsy, but now it seemed to be backfiring. This felt like promising a Christmas present to my niece, only to find that the store shelves were empty when I got there. Except in this case, my niece was Annabelle. Who? A deep sigh escaped me. An employee in this world taking unauthorized leave for a week without notice. It's obvious. This means they're likely tangled up in a creepypasta and have gone missing. Just relax and wait. It's better for your sanity, they say. But if I wait too long, someone else might grab the bloodbath tub on the alien shop, and then I'll fail to keep my promise to Braun. I really don't want to tick off the plush toy that once burned down an A-class darkness with a mere snap of his fingers. I'm gonna actually die. Assistant Manager Yoon-hye gave my shoulder a few encouraging taps before returning to her desk, while I sat there, silent and lost in thought. What should I do? Should I wait, twiddle my thumbs anxiously for 2 whole months, and if the tub sells in the meantime, swallow my pride and apologize? Should I take out a loan? Or, first, maybe I should at least find out why the person went missing. It's not just to save face with, I did my best. Who knows, maybe I'll find the missing person without much risk. I still had the dark exploration records, both in my memory and on my phone. Let's at least scope things out. Since the theme park incident, work had been relatively slow, and I'd wrapped up the paperwork for a recent exploration just yesterday. Today, I had a bit of freedom to kill time, as long as I didn't actually run off. Plus, my superiors are in and out of the office today. Of course, as the lowest on the ladder, I decided to wait until after lunch to briefly sneak out. The first place to visit. The manual evaluator's desk, of course. Ding. The elevator doors opened. Of course, I'd prepared a cover story for this visit. You want to check out the evaluator's office? Sure, Ro, just take this and just drop it off. My squad's kind-hearted supervisor handed me a certificate of completion for a training session. It wasn't urgent, but it gave me an excuse to be there. My humblest thanks, Supervisor Park Min-seong. In a creepypasta world full of psychopaths, his kindness felt like a rare, warm gesture. I entered the admin support office, looking for someone to give the document to. Luckily, there was an employee seated right next to the missing evaluator's desk. I'm here to drop off some paperwork for D-Squad Supervisor Park Min-seong. Just leave it there. Yes, and also... Without even glancing my way, the employee kept typing away at their computer, looking rather bored. I politely handed over an envelope I'd been holding. Inside were warm, sugar-dusted donuts filled with vanilla cream and an iced Americano. Bribes are essential for this sort of thing. I picked these up while getting something for myself, thought you might enjoy them. You didn't have to, really. Still, their hand shot out to take the coffee and donuts, a true office worker. Supervisor Kang passed these around. Donuts. They're from him. Wow, thanks, you're from D-Squad, right? I watched as the office atmosphere subtly shifted toward a casual tea-time atmosphere, with the admin staff biting into the donuts and chatting. It was a friendly setting, perfect for gently prying information, and even better since I was the one providing the snacks. I picked the right moment to bring up the missing manual evaluator, glancing over at the empty seat of Lee Byung-jin. Should I just leave this coffee on Section Chief Lee's desk? He doesn't seem to be in. Oh, no need, just take it with you, he hasn't been in at all. Oh, he's on vacation. Vacation? No, he's missing. Gotcha. The employee sitting nearby replied nonchalantly, barely glancing my way, and exchanged a look with the person across from him. Honestly, we kind of saw this coming. Hey. Oh, come on, everyone's heard about it by now, haven't they? You're a D-Squad rookie, right? What's your name? It's Kim Solium, sir. Oh, are you the one who nearly made it to A-Squad? I suppose so, sir. They seem to have a good impression of me, which I'm grateful for. Well, some murmuring began to ripple through the room. So that's D-Squad's rookie. The employee at the adjacent desk looked me up and down, now with a bit more interest, subtly hiding their initial indifference. The thing is, you're probably going to find out about it sooner or later if you stick around here anyway. The employee gave a slight smirk. See, we've had cases of people who work here, clueless as ever, picking up strange stuff and then going missing. Pardon? I asked, furrowing my brow as though I was thinking hard. Wait, do you mean that's why he hasn't shown up? Exactly that. What was it again? The scroll. Another colleague chimed in, seemingly giving up on reminding him as he was snickering. Right, the scroll. He was boasting about buying one that supposedly boosted his luck, claiming he hit second place in the lottery after getting it. Oh? He bought some sketchy vertical scroll, bragged about his newfound luck, and then vanished. Classic haunted thrift store story. A setup straight out of a cliché. All right, I know what to do. I made a swift decision. Retreat. Let's not get caught up in this. Staying would be no different to saying, me next. I'll be the next missing person just because I want to get my money a bit faster. I was about to make some excuse like, wow, how eerie. Well, I'll be on my way when. Anyway, looks like this situation is a bit unfortunate for you, huh? Me? Hey, don't say that much. Come on, it's true, isn't it? You're the one waiting for the evaluation on a manual revision, right? Yes. Well, if it's that missing section chief's evaluation, it's going to be tough to get it approved without him. What do you mean? That section chief was close with A-Squad, you know, like, on the same line. Lined. The foundation of office politics, people's allegiances based on who they're close to higher up the chain. And here the missing manual evaluator had been especially close to A-Squad, or to put it bluntly, was on the same side. An epiphany hit me like a lightning strike. So that's why A-Squad's leader was so confident. No wonder she seemed so sure about how quickly the manual revision would be approved. The new person they bring in might be, who knows, right? But it's unlikely it'll be another one of the same line, probably someone from Director Ching's side. And that line doesn't exactly get along with A-Squad, you know, so, yeah. Hear that? The sound of my 50 million won disappearing. Not just delayed, but completely out of reach. No way. Without even realizing it, I spoke up. You know where Section Chief Lee disappeared? Oh, there's an interesting rumor about that. The employee leaned in conspiratorially. People are saying he vanished inside the building. Apparently, someone saw him in the lobby in the morning, but he never made it up to the office. He vanished somewhere along the way. Well, no one really knows. No one actually saw him disappear. No one saw it happen. Even if there weren't people around, there could have been something else. I lifted my gaze toward the corner of the office, where a CCTV camera blinked with a red light. CCTV. If he really did disappear inside the company, there could still be a record of it. For a company of this size, they'd likely store security footage for about 2 weeks. That meant I still had a chance to check. Figuring out where he went was crucial if I wanted to secure my bonus on time. The issue was this. In this company, CCTV records are managed by the security team. And the security team was, authorized to use lethal force. No discrimination against all employees. That's right. For multiple reasons, it was best to avoid them. But since I've joined the company, I can't realistically avoid them forever. Given how things had turned out, I might as well gather some intel while I'm at it. With Braun subtly reminding me of his presence in my pocket, I headed to the first floor. Directly to the security team's office. So down here to the basement. The door marked staff only, led down a narrow set of stairs to a heavy metal door. Safety management office. I lifted my hand and knocked. Knock, knock. Just come in already. Cautiously, I opened the door. Inside was a cramped room that looked like a stereotypical facilities office, with an old sofa in the center. Sprawled out on it was a person. A security officer in a worn, dark blue uniform. Good afternoon. I quickly glanced at his name tag to make out his title. Security Unit 3, Sergeant J3. Excuse me, Sergeant. Could I look at some footage from about a week ago? We have a missing person. After a long pause, he finally responded. You want to see the CCTV? Yes. The sergeant seemed exhausted, exuding a distinct air of reluctance. Still slouched on the sofa, he responded in a slow, dragging tone without even introducing himself. You're technically supposed to submit a request form to view the CCTV footage, but... Oh, like anyone here actually cares about that stuff, just go ahead and watch it. Was this pure kindness or just plain negligence? Either way, I was in no position to complain, so I offered the remaining snacks as a bribe. Maybe you'd like some of these while you work. Oh, donuts. His previously weary expression brightened, and he promptly got up from the sofa, snatching the bag. I like donuts, but there's nowhere around here that delivers to the office, and I can't go out during the day, so I hardly ever get to eat them. Is that so? He doesn't actually seem all that intimidating. But then again, in creepypasta fashion, the scariest characters often look the least threatening at first. Keeping my guard up, I asked with a mild-mannered voice. Then, sir, would it be all right if I moved to the CCTV room then? Yeah, but... The security guard scratched the back of his head, looking at the donuts as though he was conflicted. He was quiet for quite a bit before he finally added. Only one guard is on shift now, so I'll go with you, just in case, might be risky. Oh, thank you. I waited, expecting him to call another guard over on his radio, but he didn't make a move. Weren't you going to send someone to escort me? That would be me. He pointed to himself. Yeah, that'd be me. Out of course. Better keep this short and get out. So you want to look at footage from about a week ago, right? Yes. With the security sergeant leading the way, we headed to the CCTV room to review the recordings. His handling of the equipment wasn't exactly smooth, which made me a little wary, but I tried to stay focused. Here, I found the footage of the missing section chief. There he was, a middle-aged man entering the lobby and heading to the elevator. I could confirm this to be Section Chief Lee Byingjin, his face registered in the company directory. And in his hand, a long, rolled-up item. That must be the scroll. Certainly not the kind of thing you typically bring to the office. There was something unsettling about it. You're pretty sharp, could make a good guard yourself. Please don't joke about that, sir. Thank you, I guess I was just focused since I'm trying to help find him. You mean he's missing? Yes, sir. The guard seemed taken aback. It's as if this was the first he'd truly registered my words. He probably hadn't been paying attention earlier, and was only now processing that someone had vanished right under the security team's watch. We missed this. Is this going to be a problem for you? Not really, it wasn't during my shift anyway. Someone else's issue, I guess. The classic logic of shift work, duly noted. At any rate, we continued watching the footage, and I was able to track the missing manager's movements. The surprising part, he didn't go up to the upper floors. It seems he went down instead. Further down than even the safety management office. B2. The CCTV showed him staggering as he got off on the second basement level. Creepy. What on earth happened? Why did an administrative employee head down there as though in a trance? That's an area only the security team supposedly has access to. And even within the security team, they were only authorized to patrol, so what was he doing down there? Cold sweat broke out. I quickly looked away from the empty elevator on the screen. It's starting to feel risky, even watching this footage. So far, I'd managed to skate by, but this might be too much. The underground levels of this pharmaceutical company were rumored to house the raw materials from creepypastas. A place shrouded in mystery, where regular employees had no access and no knowledge of what went on. Even in the dark exploration records, it was described like some haunted basement tale. No, I should just nope out of this while I still can. I avoided looking directly at the CCTV screen and gave a polite nod to the sergeant. Thank you for allowing me to see this. Then, sir, I'll be on my W. Restroom. The person you're looking for. He went into an old, unused men's restroom down there. And he hasn't come out, not in the whole week since. I did my best not to peek at the CCTV screen. It seemed the security sergeant had already skimmed through the footage, showing the abandoned restroom on B2 on his own. That restroom want to check it out. I don't have clearance to enter the basement levels, sir. I'm going, though. Of course, because it's your job, sir. Wouldn't it be great if you just went and found him on your own? Come on, let's go. Let's just say you're a new hire in the security team. Sir? No, really, you don't have to. Let's go. Nuo? How did things get to this point, I wonder? He even got me a uniform and everything. Now I was in the maintenance elevator, wearing the navy blue security team jacket used by regular guards. The absurdity of the situation was making my head spin. I let myself get talked into it. It's fine. People from the field exploration team pitch in for support work sometimes, too. That's punishment duty, isn't it? Anyway, I somehow verified that entering the basement wouldn't cause any big issues, even if this got out. And I'd even contacted D-Squad to officially process this as support duty, so I shouldn't get in trouble. Guess all that polite socializing paid off. Still, this is so disorienting. All this just to get my hands on a bloodbath tub. After going this far, even if I don't manage to pull the full 50 million, Braun had better recognize my efforts. Ding. The elevator door opens. Basement 2. It sounds like any other elevator ding, but for some reason, it has an ominous ring to it. And as the doors opened, what's revealed was hallway lined with ordinary office doors. Why were there offices down here? Shouldn't this floor have safety equipment or facilities? The hallway was dimly lit, eerily silent, with opaque glass doors all around. Offices labeled A, B, C, nameplates marking each door. The security sergeant whispered, "Don't open any doors." Yes. Even if he hadn't said so, there was no way in hell I'd touch anything here. I just kept my eyes on the security sergeant's back, following him slowly. And then, Mr. Rowe, dear. To think you'd wear such a worn outfit just to bring this Braun a gift. I'm deeply moved, but it pains me as well. Does my friend have to do such menial work? Touching words, really. But hold on a second. How are you even talking to me? The good friend could only talk and move within the boundaries of a creepypasta, which meant only one thing. I was already inside a creepypasta. Ah, we're here. The security sergeant stopped in front of a door with a faint, pale light seeping out from it. I'm going to open it. Wait. But before I could say anything, he opened the restroom door. Call check. With a burst, the flickering light inside revealed the room beyond. This crazy. The restroom was smeared with dark red. It looked like an artery had been sliced open, spewing deep crimson all across the mirror like blood. I froze completely, unable to even scream. Then the smell hit me, and my mind jolted back to awareness. There's barely any metallic smell. That's not all blood. And it doesn't smell like regular ink either. This is traditional ink from an ink stick. Tap, tap. Braun was tapping from my pocket. Warning. My senses snapped back to attention. The security sergeant, scanning the restroom, reached out his hand. Don't talk. Poke. Hug. Oh no. The moment his finger touched the ink, the dark red liquid began surging like a wave within the restroom. I tried to turn and run immediately, but the thick, dark liquid shot out like countless hands, grabbing my legs and pulling me down. Fug. I barely managed to keep from falling, landing awkwardly as the ink splashed up to my jaw. Bile rose in my throat. I turned my head, desperately trying to grasp the situation, and caught sight of the source. The scroll. A vertical scroll was stuck to the restroom mirror, its center slashed open, with blood-like ink being sucked into the hollow center. In other words, my feet were being dragged toward it as well. As if something alive was pulling me, weight alive. And blood-like. The blood-sucking cutlery. I pulled out a fork and jammed it into the floor. The gleaming silver fork trembled, then hungrily began absorbing the surrounding ink. It's working. But a small dessert fork couldn't hold back this much ink. Ting. The utensil was flung away. Fuck. And just like that, I was dragged into the scroll. Gasp. I lifted my head. Through the darkness and blurred vision, I saw wallpaper with an old, cracked pattern. An unfamiliar place. An abandoned house. My breath got caught in my throat, waiting for my eyes to adjust to the gloom. And I realized something. What I was looking at wasn't wallpaper. Talismans. The walls, all made of rotting wood, were covered in crumbling, worn-out talismans. The air was heavy, pressing down on my shoulders, with an eerie tension filling the dark, cold room. Something's wrong. I felt like a rat that had crawled into the wrong place, in the wrong way. I clenched my trembling hand. But there was nothing there. It's gone. The blood-sucking cutlery had vanished. Cold sweat broke out as I took slow, deep breaths to avoid hyperventilating. Excuse me. I nearly passed out. There, over there, are you the police? I lifted my head. I wasn't alone in this dark, abandoned house. Small figures huddled in a corner were staring at me. They were children. Middle school uniforms. The trembling students called out. Please save us. We touched this weird drawing and now we can't get out. TN. With the recent change to Braun's name spelling, I was also thinking of making a minor change on Solium's name. I thought about this early on, like literally chapter 1, but I doubled down on it and now it's just bothering me. So basically the Korean Hangul, Kotyur, Inus consonant is both R and L, kind of in the middle, but our MC's name pronunciation is closer to R than it is to L. Chapter 33. TN. Thank you for all the feedback, everyone. I've decided to continue using Solium for our MC's name. As people have said, we've established familiarity with this spelling and pronunciation in English, and at the end of the day, translation isn't just transliteration but also localization. Most of all, while his name's technically closer to Surium due to consonant assimilation, I like how the Sol from the original Korean spelling, Sol, Iam, is retained. I've already been calling our bright ray of sunshine tilde Sola in my head all this time Elmao, well, still Sora, but you get the gist. Thanks again, and if you have more suggestions, clarifications about the story and my translation, feel free to just send them down in the comments. I'm always open to and grateful for constructive criticism. Let's break it down. I was trying to find a missing person, encountered some bizarre, terrifying phenomena, and got sucked in somewhere. In short, I'm a missing person now too. Swallowed up by a creepypasta. Excuse me, sir, are you a policeman? And maybe these kids are as well. There were 5 or 6 of them in middle school uniforms, looking at me with a mixture of hope and fear. Seeing their faces somehow cleared away my initial shock, grounding me back in reality. First things first. I need to figure out the situation. I'm not a policeman. I showed them the Daydream Inc. logo sewn on the front of my security uniform. I'm with a private security company. It seemed they'd mistaken the security uniform for a police uniform. Their faces were starting to fill with resignation and fear, so I quickly added, I can still file a report and initiate security procedures, so please calm down and explain what's going on, all right? Yes. The first student who spoke, a girl with short hair, swallowed nervously before beginning, her voice trembling. It's we were on a school trip. Their first-year students from a middle school in Seoul had come on a field trip to Jeonju. The teachers had split the kids into groups to keep things manageable, and this group, Group 3, seemed to be especially cheerful and curious. Behind our lodging there was this mountain, and we saw something like a gazebo up there, so we decided to do a test of courage and check it out. They had decided to sneak out at night and go up to that gazebo by themselves. Normally they'd have been caught by a teacher, scolded and sent back, or they'd have just looked around, laughed, and returned safely. But there was this painting hanging in that gazebo. But this is the world of creepypastas. It was a painting of something that looked like a weird house. The student gulped again. And someone was watching us from that house. So we dared each other to get closer, and you touched it. The girl nodded, then started to sob. As suddenly a voice from the painting said, good job, laughing, and then something strange came out of it. And when we came to, we're already in this creepy abandoned house. We can hear strange noises outside the window, and even when it's daytime, the fog is so thick we can't see. We can't get out. Even a boy in the back with a mischievous face was sniffling. They all seemed to be on the verge of panic. I kept my voice calm on purpose as I asked, was that painting by any chance a scroll? He sniffle a scroll. You know, something that rolls up, a vertical scroll. I don't think so. It was more like, a traditional painting. Oh, one that's painted with that old brush thingy. An ink wash painting. Yes. The student nodded vigorously. So, could that be the common factor that draws people into this creepypasta? Scrolls are typically antique items. The scroll that Section Chief Lee had was probably also a traditional ink painting. And that creepy dark red liquid oog that was swirling around in the restroom, it was probably ink too. In summary, it's a creepypasta where a bizarre ink painting captures anyone who touches it, pulling them into a terrifying place. Seems like there could be 5 or 6 of them. I'm finally narrowing it down. But the problem is, none of the darkness I could think of in this category are easy to deal with. This is a classic, traditional creepypasta. The kind of story rooted in superstitious fear that tightens around your throat. A frightening tale with a hint of a shamanistic undertone, something that chills you to the bone. This is really bad. I'm already weak against ghosts as it is. This feels way more intense than that convenience store ghost. In desperation, I started counting heads. Usually, having more people around makes things less scary. Is there anyone else here? Come to think of it, where did the security sergeant go? He should have been caught up in this mess with me, but there's no sign of him anywhere. Having him here would be reassuring, and I can't exactly rely on these kids either. This is a nightmare. I kept my tone steady and asked, that must have been really frightening. How long have you been here? A day, I'm not sure. You're not hungry. We brought snacks kinda, so we ate those. I see. These kids must be at their limit. These kids who have barely graduated elementary school have been trapped here on their own. They're likely still alert because they're terrified, which is keeping them from feeling tired, but it won't be long before they crash hard. We're so scared and our phones don't work so. I get it. I'll look for a way out, so in the meantime, don't touch anything else. Wait. So is it just you here? No other adults around? An adult, there's one, but... Then, at that moment, a scream rang out from far away. He's been screaming all by himself. That Audiobook's scaring us. Yeah. I'm scared too. But I can't just drag all of you along. In times like this, having a comforting, living, plush toy around definitely comes in handy. Braun, I called out to the good friend in my pocket. Come to think of it, he's been pretty quiet. Mr. Rowe, dear. A slightly crestfallen voice answered. I'm sorry, to think you went to such a filthy, unhygienic place just to bring me a gift. It seemed he was feeling rather guilty. I let out a faint chuckle. It's all right, we'll get out of here. Actually, it's not all right at all. But getting angry here won't let me quit halfway, either. That would only leave me with a resentful, murderous plush toy. You're truly bold. That's an admirable talent, even as an entertainer. No, I'm just absolutely scared out of my wits. So I'm counting on you for some serious help. Can you help me find a way out? What do you need? Just say the word and this brawn will prepare it. This is great. At this rate, even if I don't manage to pull the full 50 million, our friendship won't be at risk. After giving Braun a few taps of gratitude on my pocket, I stepped deeper into the abandoned house. Toward the source of the scream. Wait here for just a moment, I'll go check it out. Okay. Of course, I'd already loaded a 501 coin, in case I needed to activate the remote hand at any moment. And I had a flashlight ready too. Good thing it's attached to the uniform. Relying on the thin beam of light, I moved forward. Hey, no stop. Save me, save me. As I got closer, I could make out the words and phrases. The desperate screams echoed clearly from beyond the dark walls of the abandoned house. Stay calm. I was so terrified that my spine tingled, but I forced myself to press on. As I rounded the corner. This crazy fucking world, crazy fucking company. I recognized the face. The manual evaluator. In front of a wooden board plastered with talismans, a middle-aged office worker was struggling. When he saw me, his eyes went wide. It was the missing section chief, Lee Byung-jin. A security team. All right. I'm wearing a security team uniform. Thank the heavens, are you from the security team, sir? The man's face lit up, and he began trembling as he approached me. You came to find me. No, I got dragged here, too. But why is he being so deferential? Oh, right, he's mistaken me for a security team member. Since I ended up here, this was the first time I'd seen a company employee act this submissively. I glanced down at the borrowed security uniform I was wearing. The administrative staff tend to look down on people from the field exploration team. More specifically, the ones at the bottom of the barrel. They didn't bother with us, treating us like we were disposable and likely to die on the job. I remembered the administrative staff who changed their attitude once they found out I nearly made it into the elite team. Now, standing before me, sweating and nervously trying to smile, was Section Chief Lee Byung-jin. Might as well take advantage of this. I clasped my hands behind my back and spoke like a security team member would. A missing person report was lodged from within the company, so a search is being conducted. Oh really? Ha 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 ha. I knew it. The company didn't abandon me. Actually, yes they did. So, why you're going to break down this darkness? Right. You're with the security team after all, so. I deliberately responded with a detached tone. The security team isn't in the business of break down darkness. The team's role is to contain disturbances. All right. Of course, haha, I've just, never had much experience with field exploration like this, you see, Okay, the tone was set. Explain the situation. Pardon? Describe what happened since your disappearance in chronological order. I needed to compare this with what the kids had told me, and figure out exactly what kind of creepypasta we were dealing with. Yes, sir. The man scrambled to his feet and quickly started babbling. Well, I came across this very rare-looking scroll at a souvenir shop near Mount Jiri. It was almost exactly what I'd heard in the office. He'd bought the suspicious scroll after the shop owner hinted that it grants wishes, and afterward, his luck with money noticeably improved. I was told to keep it close to water and not to touch the scroll, and believe it or not, I struck big at the lottery, second place. But then, I began to hear strange whispers. Lee Byung-jin's eyes twitched as he dug his fingers into his palms, spitting out his words. I had whispered that since my wish had been granted, it was, only proper to repay the debt, that it was the way of a true scholar. Those whispers every night. Every night, the sound of water, and then, cries, animal cries creeping closer and closer. Eek. It became completely unbearable, so, I recalled the scroll I'd seen in the restroom, shredded and stained with what looked like blood. You tried to tear it up. Yes. So during the middle of the day, he'd gone to a place other than his own home, where there would be no witnesses but where he could escape immediately after ripping it up. A place like an unused restroom in the company. He'd found a spot like that and tore up the scroll. That was the plan, but... And then you got dragged here. Huff, yes. Lee Byung-jin panted heavily. I rubbed the back of my neck. What am I supposed to say to that? He'd done all the typical things people do to get themselves killed in a horror story. And going so far as to pick a restroom in the basement of Daydream Inc.'s building just to avoid witnesses. Honestly, that deserves some applause. To be frank at this point, if he dies, he can't really complain. Suppressing a sigh, I looked up. In front of where Lee Byung-jin had been rolling around was a wall plastered with talismans. There were noticeably more torn talismans here than elsewhere. Why was he freaking out in front of this spot? I shone my flashlight on the wall. And then I realized why. Is that a door? Through the torn talisman, I could see a door handle. And judging by the lock on the handle, a door that leads outside. It comes here every day. What does? The ghost, it comes here every day. Section Chief Lee Byung-jin, with bloodshot eyes, crawled over and grabbed onto my pant leg, mumbling. It comes to devour us, it comes to devour, and though the talismans, they're falling off every day. That means... I'll come again today. Knock knock. Knock knock knock. From the door, there was a sound. Knock nick knock knock. It's here again. I clamped a hand over Lee Byung-jin's mouth. Excuse me, sir. It's really cold out here, so could you open the door for me? Ajasi, don't you remember me? I'm Na-yoon, the 7-year-old girl who lived next door in Saming Apartments. A young child sniffling, sobbing voice drifted from beyond the door. Please help me, it's so cold and I'm so tired, I don't know where I am. Please just open the door. The voice carried a strange, pitiful tone that made you forget your fear and feel genuine sympathy. In a daze, a trembling voice spoke up beside me. En Na-yoon's one. Ajasi. The talisman on the door started to smolder. The sobbing voice mixed with a faint laughter. You answered again. And no, I didn't answer. Go away, go away. The section chief, snapping back to his senses, started to scream in terror. But, I don't wanna though. Identwana. Leak. Thud. Bang 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 bang. The door began to shake violently, as if it were about to break. The smoldering talismans fell off. Bang 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 bang. The talismans were falling off in heaps. Bang 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 bang. I barely managed to move my arm. Thud. I tossed a coin into the air and summoned the hand. Thud. Then, from among the scattered talismans on the floor, I gathered up as many of the intact ones as I could. Bang. I placed those talismans over the doorknob. Bang. The talismans immediately started falling off again. Hiya. But the knocking stopped. Out of all the talismans I'd slapped onto the doorknob, only one remained. Close one. A shiver ran down my spine. Hiiksabasuab. The sound of footsteps gradually faded away beyond the door. Heroes. Section Chief Lee Byung-jin collapsed onto the floor. I clenched and unclenched my sweaty fist. I'm going nuts. I almost fainted from fear with the door pounding like that. I hid my trembling hands behind my back. A creepypasta about trapping prey. Shamanistic atmosphere, talismans, devouring, luring, calling voices, horror. I know now. == Dark Exploration Records / Ghost Story. Sangun Nim. A ghost story featured in Dark Exploration Records. Daydream Inc. Identification Code Q-Turwasi 51. An ominous darkness depicted in a traditional ink wash painting featuring Changui spirits. Exploration records indicate a total of up to 17 entries. == This is a Jangsanbyum type ghost story, too. Note S. When adding a or y, to the end of a person's name indicates closeness between friends or family, or when one is talking to someone younger. In Japanese, the closest equivalents are chan and kun. Right arrow curving left. To Sangun, Chinese letter. Translated literally as Lord of the Mountain, is a mountain spirit or deity often depicted as a tiger. Jangsanbyum, caught Chungsanbum, Inus, from folk tradition is the tiger of MT, Jang in Busan, that has the ability to conjure hallucinations, imitate people's voices, and possess their bodies. It is often depicted as a white-haired ghost or a tiger/cryptid with crimson skin and long, silvery fur. Read more about it here https://cryptids, fandom.com/wiki/Jangsanbyum or here https://n-namu wiki/w/kochungsanbum, inus #rfn3/. Changui ko Chungui Enus, from folk tradition, are spirits who have either drowned to death or have fallen prey to a tiger, becoming resentful ghosts who further create more victims. Read more about it here, https://n-namu wiki/w/kochungui Enus right arrow curving left. Instead of trying to translate them to fit a more Western point of view, I've decided to keep the terms as is given that we're dealing with a traditional Eastern folktale/ghost story this time. Translating them as Mountain Lord, Jangsan Tiger, and Vengeful Ghosts might be fine, but they don't exactly retain the original context of their respective folktales. Side note, if you're up for something spooky, here's a 2013 webtoon one-shot featuring the Jangsanbyum. https://comic naver. com/webtoon/detail title ID equals 574,303 and no equals 6 and week equals finish. I'm not sure if there's an English translation out there, but do let me know if there is. Chapter 34. Sangun Nim, one of the most eerie and unsettling stories from Darkness Exploration Records. It appears similar to the Korean internet urban legend about the Jangsanbyum, but this tale carries an even stronger shamanistic and eerie undertone. Ghost, presumably having perished from the tiger known as Sangun Nim, resides in a haunted painting that constantly changes its appearance, pursuing victims and attempting to lure them away. As one of the stories of the Darkness Exploration Records that went viral in the first half of 20XX, there were countless reports of readers feeling sick or unnerved just from reading it. It was exactly as described. Even as someone who's generally fine reading about horror tales, this story left an oddly disturbing, lingering feeling in me as well, making me pause multiple times while reading. The familiarity of this tale, similar to a known urban legend, added to its unnerving closeness. I'm sure everyone has heard of it at least once. A person devoured by a tiger becomes a ghost and returns to visit their loved ones. Also known as the Changui. This ghost must find another victim to pass on its role before its soul can move on to the afterlife. A chilling tale, indeed. It's disturbing to even think about it. However, if one thinks logically, there is a way to survive. At C-Class, it's still a grade with standard escape records. While it's certainly challenging, it's not impossible to escape this darkness. The issue is, the method is bizarre and forces the victim to make unfair choices, causing mental suffering and overwhelming pressure, as though their breath were being squeezed out. It's the kind of tale that horror lovers immerse themselves in, enjoying the shivers it evokes. Exploration Record 3. A man in his 50s downloaded a landscape painting from the internet, said to bring good fortune in one's career. He described it as an ink wash painting from the late Joseon dynasty, depicting mountains and fog with an eerie vividness, even in low resolution. After downloading it, he began having occasional dreams of wandering near the mountain in the painting, and each time he felt oddly at peace, his focus sharpening. However, after a sudden promotion at work, the dreams changed. He began to hear a voice calling to him from within the fog, enveloping the mountain. The voice whispered, "It is only right to repay the help you've received, as any true scholar should." Along with this, he heard sorrowful cries, the trudging of footsteps along the mountain path, and the distant calls of animals. Feeling strangely unnerved, he turned and tried to run. Then came the chilling words, "You've been found," repeated over and over, followed by a mocking laugh as it chased him. Each night, he was plagued with dreams of desperately trying to run away. And each night, the voice calling his name drew closer, as he tried to distance himself from the mountain in the painting. One night he realized, in horror, that he hadn't been running through the mountains anymore. He was now at the front door of his own house. Terrified, he woke up and immediately left home, moving to a hotel. He said it was to avoid the voice pursuing him and to keep his family from being drawn into it. That night, however, the voice did not follow him in his dream. Instead, he saw someone, a figure with a pale, ashen face, slipping in like a snake through his open front door, snickering as it entered. That's when he understood. The voices hadn't been following him at all. They had been finding their way into his home. Result, the man's entire family, except him, went missing. 6 months later, the bodies of 3 unidentified bodies were found in a nearby dam. Afterward, he was hospitalized for PTSD and eventually took his own life. And so it goes. The worst part of this story is how it forces you to imagine the mental anguish of those caught in it. There's also something more unsettling. It's already too late. Already lured in and dragged here by the Changui. Several times that its calls were responded to. Talismans nearly depleted. This was the kind of description you'd find in the final, desperate moments at the end of a lengthy exploration record, where everyone was already on the verge of death. Meaning we're cornered at the very edge. This is driving me insane. I raked my hand through my hair. Are you in a tough spot, friend? It's more than just tough. I feel like I'm drowning in cold sweat. Oh dear, could it be because of that unwelcome guest who visited earlier? Uninvited guests are always unpleasant, especially in places where they're not wanted. That's why I'd like to offer you some advice. Would that be all right? What? I looked down at my pocket. Allow me to dim the light for you, Mr. Roe dear. That way, you can quietly leave this place without drawing anyone's attention. I remembered the incredible ability that this plushie showed at the theme park, the strange power that erased my presence, allowing me to move without getting caught by the blue mascot. If you quietly exit through that door and head home, you'll avoid this tiring situation. It doesn't get any better than that, does it? I had a high probability of deducing the correct escape route based on the darkness exploration records. So, if I could avoid being detected by the Changui, I might actually get out of this creepypasta easily. But isn't that a one-person-only solution? Would it be possible for you to do the same for someone else? For someone who isn't a friend? Braun's voice twisted momentarily, as if I'd made an unpleasant suggestion, but he responded in his usual cheerful tone, like a true entertainer. Well, maybe I could, but I wouldn't take that risk. Mr. Roe, dear, everything has its limits, and the more you share, the less you keep for yourself, don't you agree? It seemed that if Braun were to extend his power to someone else, its duration or strength would diminish. So to stay safe, it's really just a one-person solution. Still, leaving the kids behind gnawed at my conscience as a modern person who'd received public education. Plus, Braun, if we can't bring Section Chief Lee Byongjin out with us, our budget will face serious issues. We won't be able to buy the bloodbath tub. Capitalism was holding me back. Oh, that can't be. But if we dim 2 lights, any sensitive observer will notice easily. It'll ruin the scene's quality. Yeah, I'll look for another solution then. Of course, if things got urgent, I'd hit Braun with an SOS and bolt out with at least one other person. I'll do what I can. Regrettable, but understood. I rummaged through my pocket. Thankfully, a few essentials I always brought to work were still there, even after changing into the security uniform. A smiley sticker, Alice's Buff Deba food items, and even some of Snow White's apples. I'd lost the fork from my blood-sucking cutlery set, but it's originally a pair. Right, I still had the knife. I pulled out the remaining piece of the blood-sucking cutlery from the opposite thigh pocket. And I was surprised. It grew. The knife was no longer the size of a dessert utensil. It now featured intricate craftsmanship on the handle, with a small, elegant red gemstone embedded as an accent. It had clearly leveled up. Maybe the blood that the fork absorbed have somehow transferred here. After all, they were a pair. Is that the security team's suppression weapon? I didn't respond, letting Section Chief Lee's misunderstanding stand. I carefully wiped the now cutter-sized knife on my clothes and slipped it into the front pocket of my jacket, where I could reach it easily. Please let me not need it. Well then, I'll begin searching the house. All right. When I moved, Section Chief Lee quickly stepped aside. I stared directly at him as he stood frozen. I'd like you to accompany me. What? No, I already looked everywhere. You've already looked, so I'm asking you to guide me. Yes, sir. Section Chief Lee hesitated, but he obeyed, glancing nervously at me as he started walking. Good, I avoided the chance of having a panic attack or fainting alone out of fear. This place, is probably the kitchen, sir. There wasn't any food, though. The old house, rusty and dust-covered with mold creeping in, was filled with nothing but talismans on every wall. It reminded me of those abandoned houses along mountain roads, halfway up a hill, neglected and no longer inhabited. You stayed here for a week. Did you not feel uncomfortable? Well, I never felt thirsty or hungry. His face turned pale. Whenever the Jigos came every night, it was strange. I felt like my energy was drained each time. Did you ever try to go outside during the day? I did, but no matter how far I walked, I just saw forest after forest. I was terrified that the sun would set while I was out there, so I kept coming back here. His account aligned with other exploration records. In that case, where are you going? I headed to the end of the corridor, which had no doors, until I reached a dead end. There should be an upper floor. No, there's no staircase or anything leading up. I've searched every inch of this place over the past week, and there's not even a trace of stairs. I summoned the remote hand, then placed the remaining blood-sucking knife in its grip and flung it into the air. More precisely, toward the ceiling. Gasp! There was a snap as something gave way. The knife lodged in a fine crack in the ceiling. With a loud noise, the ceiling opened up, and an old ladder clattered down noisily. Found the attic. Gee gracious, truly the security team. Why your eye for space is beyond that of an ordinary person. Not at all. I just read a lot of exploration records. Abandoned houses always have attics. It's only natural that someone who knows what to look for sees differently from someone who doesn't know anything. Anyway, it definitely seemed like this led to the attic. Well, I seriously don't want to go. It feels like entering an ominous room that opened on its own in a haunted house. But I was already acting like I was with the security team, so I had essentially committed myself to being the tank. I grabbed the ladder and climbed up, pretending to stay calm. Screech, please follow me. And surprisingly, no one followed. I'll sear this security team act into my brain. I forced my legs to stay steady, barely managed to reach the attic, and quickly finished my search before coming back down in a hurry. It was as if I'd wrapped up my investigation swiftly and efficiently. Phew. That probably looked natural enough. How was it? It's just an old attic. There wasn't anything unusual. I held up my only discovery. This was lying on an old tray. It was a worn-out book bound in an ancient style. Chinese letter, Chinese letter. P-Path to Survival. Could it actually contain a way out? Oh, he can read classical Chinese. I carefully opened the brittle, ancient book. The entire book was in classical Chinese. Classical Chinese. The best I did was pass the level 2 exam in high school. Ho, this is interesting content. Could he actually understand classical Chinese? Goodness, Mr. Roe dear. A capable host like myself must be able to communicate with all the people in the universe, well, almost all. That sounded pretty unrealistic, but what mattered was this. Can you read it aloud for me? Of course. After a brief sound as if Braun were clearing his throat like a classic announcer, his voice took on a more formal, deep tone. This is your sole means of escape. Thump. You, foolish one, ensnared by the Changui and led into Sangun Nim's tomb. Darkness looms before you, and a ghost clings upon your back. I swallowed hard. Do not answer. Do not unbar the door. Purify your body and endure until the full moon rises, and go to the shrine to perform the ritual. Then you shall live to see the sun rise, however. I turn the page. The Changui shall relentlessly pursue anyone it deems worthy prey. You, who has already been ensnared by the tiger, can never escape. The ghost shall linger at your doorstep, at your bedside as you sleep. So you too must become a Changui. To escape, you must find another to take your place and offer them to the tiger. The sacrifice must have reasoning, warm blood, and a voice. Only then can the Changui be deceived. Offer the sacrifice, and follow the moonlit path to a small pit of serpents. This is your sole means of escape. There is no other way. That's the end. Fascinating, isn't it? I closed the book, my hands frozen. So that's what it was. In the exploration record, it was only described in a line or two. A sacrifice was chosen by drawing lots, and when the chosen one refused, they were tied to a post and dragged away. But looking at it directly, the eerie, unsettling weight of the words pressed down on me. Flip. Just then, something tucked into the final page of the book slipped out. It was a small paper card. When I picked it up, I saw hurried handwriting scrawled on the back. Leaving tomorrow. I flipped the card over. Gosianhe, Department of History, Jukang University. Could this be someone who had read the book before me? In the meantime, Section Chief Li, who could read classical Chinese, seemed to be stumbling through the text on his own. And then he froze in terror. Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter? This. Doesn't this mean one person has to be sacrificed? Right, if just one of us dies, the rest can survive. I didn't respond. Section Chief Li began rubbing his palms anxiously, his eyes darting around. But if we don't do it, we'll all die anyway, so. So, wouldn't it be enough if the right person died, someone who likely wouldn't make it out anyway, right? Is that a self-introduction? But as I glanced down, I noticed the look on Section Chief Li's face. He meant the kids. To be honest, one of those kids, if you hadn't arrived, they'd probably all be dead anyway. We should focus on getting ourselves out of here. If just one of them dies and the rest of us get out alive, well, isn't that still a good thing? I never thought I'd hear this kind of talk in real life. Given that he's been trapped here for a week, consumed by the fear of death and panic, I could understand his desperation, but still, I can't agree to that kind of talk. I glanced at the text in classical Chinese. Sentient being. This book specifies a sentient being with intellect as the sacrifice. I tilted my head slightly. Can a child who hasn't even reached adulthood be considered a fully sentient being? I don't think so. I stared steadily at Section Chief Li. It's adults who would qualify as sacrifices, don't you think? Which means there's only one option. Section Chief Li, sweating profusely, his pupils quivering, opened his mouth to speak. I spoke calmly. I mean myself. Pardon. I'm the only eligible person here, excluding the kids and you, Section Chief Li, who have been trapped here for a week and are mentally unstable. But I don't want to die. I'll look for another way. I resumed examining the book. After a long silence, I'm sorry. Talking about sacrificing the kids. What kind of person am I to even say such a thing? Ha 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 ha. Section Chief Lee sat down, looking utterly defeated. On the first night, it was my father. He had passed away in his hospital bed from cancer, but I hadn't been able to be there when he died because of work. Then my father, crying, called out, "Byung-jin-ah, let me see your face," asking me to open the door. I held my head and resisted, and then the ghost started hurling all sorts of insults and jeers at me, all in my father's voice. Section Chief Lee buried his face in his hands. Every single night it's someone else, a dead family member, friend, neighbor, coming to visit, calling out in their voices. His beloved uncle, his aunt, his cousin who died in an accident, his college friends, and even the neighbor's child who was kidnapped and went missing. All of them, everyone I've known, anyone who's died, it's as if they're all pulled out from the depths. I can barely hold on to my sanity. If hell exists, it's right here. Come to think of it, the middle schoolers hadn't even known there was a ghost knocking on the door. And they'd been here for 2 days. Has he practically been standing guard by the door? Whether it was intentional, accidental, or due to some ghostly influence, his actions had, in a way, shielded the kid's mental state. It felt strangely poignant. I looked at Section Chief Lee for a moment before nodding. If this place is hell, then all the more reason to escape it. I'll study this book more closely and... Knock, knock, knock. Both Section Chief Lee and I turned to face the door simultaneously. Was that just... Knock, knock, knock. Excuse me. The voice had returned. Chapter 35. A haunted house trapped by the Changwee's lure. Is anyone there? A voice called out again from outside the front door of the abandoned house. This time it was a low male voice. No, who is it this time? The section chief clamped his hands over his mouth, stifling a scream. Please open the door. A dead person, who is it? Who's out there? Let's run, let's get out of here. It's so cold out here. This time I absolutely won't answer. I moved toward the door and pulled the handle. When the door opened, what appeared was... Whoa, I thought I was gonna die, thanks. Human in decent shape, with a slender build, light-colored hair, and wearing a faded navy blue uniform. Section Chief Lee Byung-jin, please greet him. I gave a respectful nod. This is the Sergeant of Security, Unit 3. Yes, it was him. The Sergeant of Security Team's Unit 3, who had been pulled into this ghost story alongside me. His face looks about ready to burst. Section Chief Lee alternated between pointing at me and the security sergeant. His face beat red, before he snapped his finger and let out a bizarre groan. How why? Well, isn't it obvious? You're the one who explained it yourself. Every single night it's someone else, a dead family member, friend, neighbor, coming to visit, calling out in their voices. And they only come once a night. Incidentally, similar statements had been blatantly recorded in the dark exploration records. When someone's dragged into an abandoned house by the Changwee, every night it appeared at the door, pleading in the voices of dead loved ones, subjecting its prey to mental torment and confusion. When they say every night, they mean it's a daily cycle. But I couldn't exactly tell Section Chief Lee. There's a magical record supporting my theory, now could I? Intuition. The Section Chief looked strangely blank. In any case, since I was right, let's leave it at that. After verifying that the security sergeant had entered the abandoned house, I promptly closed the door and secured the handle. Just looking outside was enough to send chills down my spine. Thank you. No problem, sir. It was shocking enough that this guy had made it all the way to the door without being dragged away by the Changwee. But, well, he's part of the security team after all. The real surprise was that he hadn't come alone. He was supporting someone. Who's that? The sergeant answered with a bright smile. Look, I found the missing person. The missing person is this person, though. Oh, got confused. They're even different genders. I checked the person that the sergeant had casually dropped onto the floor. It was a stranger. In a very disheveled state, she sank to the ground of the abandoned house and began to wail, seemingly oblivious to her surroundings. It's over, it's all over. She just keeps saying that. This place is better. I woke up earlier in some place that felt like a shaman's hut. It was cold, dark, and damp, and I didn't like it there. Okay. This is a disaster. All I wanted was a sensible companion. I miss my D-Squad superiors. Still, I took a closer look at the crying person. She was dressed in a now filthy white gown with a name tag on the chest. Go see on her. Huh? I immediately pulled out a small business card. It was the one tucked in the old book labeled Path to Survival. Go see on her. Department of History, Jukang University. On the back it had the words, leaving tomorrow. By any chance, if you're the person on this card, did you try out the instructions from the book? The woman nodded, sniffling. Yes, but it was all futile. Wait, what do you mean F-futile? Does that even make sense? Exactly what I said. With a dark expression, she pulled something out of her coat. If you go about 100 steps from here, as written in that book, there's a shrine. I'm pretty sure it's the shrine mentioned in the book. And this I copied down from the woodblock there. She glanced at me with a tired expression. Looks like you read the book thoroughly, too. Do you study Korean history? This was written in a style from hundreds of years ago. No, I just happen to have a monster friend. Anyway, so if we just do exactly what's written on that wooden tablet, shouldn't it work? Why do you keep saying it's impossible and crying about it? Because it is impossible. Look, Ajasi, I'm not an idiot. I tried to follow what was written on the woodblock. It said to gather 3 plums, crush them in a cup, and sprinkle it outside. I did all of that. I did everything, but... Gosianha took a breath, staring into the air, then held up the back side of the paper she had pulled out, as if to show it to us. Please read this. Braun, catching on, began to read aloud. Prepare a song to offer to Sangun Nim. The more it is known among people, the more effective it will be. Write the lyrics down and place them in the incense holder. Sing loudly, clap every step, and bow every 30 steps. A song for Sangun Nim. Yes, that's it. Gosianha's eyes widened as she asked urgently. Sangun Nim is a tiger, right? Then what immediately comes to mind? Any song related to tigers, anything that praises a tiger, whether it's a children's song or a folk tune. Well, Section chiefly stammered, then began. In the mountain, the great hero. Right on the tiger's birthday. Yes, that one. I thought of it too, and that's what I tried to use. TN, here S the song. https://yuru b/sxajwrnzzgmt equals 10. Gosianha dropped her head. But it says, once a song has been used, it can't be used again. The incense holder was already stuffed with used lyrics. Of course, Mountain Hero was already there. Good grief. It says, Sangun Nim is fickle and enjoys songs, so he will not accept the same one twice. Sure, in folktales, tigers smoke pipes and dance, but this is. Seething, Gosianha shouted into the air, then turned to us with a desperate look. Children's songs, folk songs, instrumental pieces. Is there anything else that comes to mind besides Mountain Hero? Anything, just anything. Nothing. There's nothing, right? Of course there is. Gosianha clutched her head in frustration. I'm not a Korean music major, and it's not like I can just look it up somewhere, oh no. I didn't know the songs couldn't be repeated either. Even in the dark exploration records, there were 2 or 3 records of people performing rituals in places they were lured to by the Changui, each time using a different song. There were everything from folk games to instrumental pieces. I thought the different songs were just something the collective wisdom on the wiki included for fun. I didn't realize there was such a specific detail hidden there. And even if I wanted to use the songs listed on the wiki, only the titles were provided. No lyrics, no melodies. Damn it. The air in the abandoned house grew even colder. Who? I exhaled slowly, then carefully read the Chinese characters on the paper that was said to be copied from the shrine's woodblock, with Braun's help. Then I asked, Gosianha SSI. Yes. I have a few questions for you if that's all right. What is it? How many days have you been here? 10 days. Gosianha's face turned pale. But after a few days, I started hearing the sound of some crazy man wandering around, so I hid in the attic. Said crazy man, looked at Gosianha with a slightly offended expression. And a few days later, I started hearing children's voices too. I didn't know what else to do, so when the full moon came tonight, I slipped outside while this guy was dozing off. And then you went to the shrine to try and perform the ritual. Yes. I nodded, then moved on to the next question. But something doesn't add up. Excuse me. The ritual explicitly states that a sacrifice is required. Why did you go alone? I'm not going to pretend I was sacrificing myself to save the kids or anything. Gosianha clenched her fists so tightly that her knuckles turned white. I just went to check how it was done to make a decision. But yes, while I was doing it, I realized what was going on. I read the writings of those who attempted it before. Tonight is the full moon. Once tonight ends, that's it. I can't hold out for another 15 days until the next full moon. I know the ghost will open the door. Yes, so the ritual needs to be performed before sunrise. Thinking of the single talisman left on the door handle, I nodded to myself. But I'm telling you, it's impossible. No. I shook my head and stood up. I think it might be possible. Huh? The ritual, I mean. An alternative came to mind, a feasible one. I'll start preparing. Wait, hold on. No, I mean, even if it's doable, we'd have to gather all the necessary materials from outside again, and I've already used everything I found. I looked again at the paper with the copied ritual instructions. Ingredients: 3 plums, salt, ashes from a burned peach branch, 1 bucket of well water. So all of it needs to be gathered from outside. In the middle of the night, with the Changui lurking around. And a safe way to get around on my own. Of course there is a way. One that only I can use. Would you like me to turn off the light for you, Mr. Roe dear? Well, do I really have to go out there alone? I glanced back at the others instinctively. My terrified heart was screaming to go as a group, all together, while my brain held me back, firmly warning me not to do anything stupid. This is driving me nuts. But in the end, reason won out. Please wait here. Honestly, I'd prefer if someone came with me. If anyone's willing to volunteer, someone is right. Surprisingly, Gosianha raised one hand. I've done it before, so I could at least guide you to where everything is located. Oh ho, don't interfere, sit down, student. But Section Chief Lee, alarmed, jumped up and quickly pulled her back. This isn't someone you should be thinking of as just another person like us. He's not your average guy. Well, that's a bit much. Just mark down the locations and give them to him, quickly. Oh. Gosianha looked a bit reluctant, but after glancing at me, nodded with a resigned expression. She then marked on the blank spaces of the ritual paper where she'd found the materials and handed it to me. Oh, and be careful around water. The Changui are ghosts cursed by tigers and bound to serve them, but, historically, the term also referred to water ghosts. Gosianha swallowed nervously, her face pale. If you hear water, rivers, streams, any water sounds, just avoid it. Don't even look, just keep walking. All right. I'm seriously so fucking scared, what the fuck? Anyway, with everything in place, I stepped toward the door. The security sergeant spoke up. Oh, you're going out alone? Yes. I'd rather not, but here we are. If anything happens, please look after everyone here. The security team's role isn't to protect people, but they're still better than ordinary civilians, especially when it comes to handling supernatural creatures. The security sergeant just looked at me intently. Hey. Yes. You don't really seem like a regular employee. Fascinating, all right. I'll stay put then. Don't exactly have equipment for this. Then he plopped down near the door. Anyway, it seems like we're ready to go. Let's go. I took a deep, quiet breath, then gripped the door handle and pulled. Kriak. With a chilling creak of the hinges, the outside came into view. The darkness was thick with fog. Dead silent. Creak thud. The door closed behind me. Even though it was supposed to be a full moon, the fog was so dense it completely blocked out the moonlight. Branches swayed in the breeze, their shadows stretching and blending into the pale hints of deep darkness. I managed to take my first step. Crunch, crunch. Friend, from now on, I'll dim your light. You'll disappear into the blind spots of cameras, fade into the shadows behind the stage. With every step, a dark, shadowy heaviness seemed to press down on me. It's still such a strange feeling, no matter how often I experience it. Slowly, I faded into the misty forest, dim and shadowy. Phew, feels a little lighter here. Of course, the fear was still overwhelming. My heart felt like it was going to explode. Walk straight up to the left from the abandoned house, and you'll see a large tree with a golden rope tied around it. Gosianha's rough map, with arrows and notes, lingered in my mind, guiding each step I took. I could barely tell front from back, so it was incredible how Gosianha had managed to gather the ritual materials. Left and up. After what felt like an hour, though only a few minutes had passed. Ah, Mr. Roe dear, I see something up ahead. Just as Braun said, something started to emerge through the fog. It was a giant tree, shrouded in mist. A faint, sweet scent drifted from it whenever its branches swayed. Peach. There aren't any fruits, so where's the scent coming from? It was sweet, yet somehow unsettling. A golden rope hung from the tree, stretched between two thick branches. Beyond it, I could see a small field. Oh, is that farmland? A small garden in the mountains, aesthetic but not quite my taste. Braun's tone was cheerful, but my mind was far from light-hearted. The book I'd read earlier had called this place Sangha Nim's burial ground, hadn't it? And it's also where the materials for the ritual are located. This must be a supernatural area. I moved carefully, inching forward while gathering the materials around the area. Got the plums? Face the left with the big tree on your right, and you'll see smaller trees, plum trees. I picked up fallen fruit beneath the plum trees, and some dried branches near the enormous peach tree. Of course, I didn't dare pick fruit directly or break off any branches. Not gonna risk that. Standing alone in a forest at midnight is frightening enough, but imagine being trapped here, cursed by spirits. And to top it off, I had a mission to complete. You'd naturally become as cautious as possible. All right. Finally, I collected salt from a worn stone pagoda, where it seemed to have been scattered as a warding charm. Honestly, I nearly screamed earlier while drawing water from the well when I heard the bucket knocking against something inside. But I managed to get everything. The surroundings were still quiet. I let out the tiniest sigh of relief. Now, if I return to the peach tree and retrace my steps, I should get back to the abandoned house. As I started retracing my path, something I hadn't noticed before caught my eye. At the end of the golden rope on the peach tree, a piece of clean silk was tied. Huh? There was writing on it. You who lack the right, turn back. Well, yeah, definitely not touching that. Maintaining a safe 1-meter distance, I nodded cautiously. You look tense, Mr. Roe dear. It seems like you need a right to cross this line. Given that I'm here because of a ghostly curse, there's no way I'd have. But you do have the right. What? Take a look at your wrist. I raised my hand to check the inside of my wrist, where the theme park wristband had been. Socius. The tattoo that had been left there from the burnt-out membership band now shimmered faintly. Socius, wasn't that the word? The Latin term for companion, member, kinsman. Oh, it seems the mark has broader applications than expected. Whether the mascot's connections are wide, or it has a part-time job elsewhere, who can say? So, friend, will you use your membership? I stepped up to the golden rope and slowly reached out my hand. The shimmering rope parted, passing gently around my arm as if it were nothing. As expected. Carefully, I stepped forward. Into the garden, where entry was now permitted.